Don't tell me what to do.
It
That's all I have to
sickens
say.
me.
What?
It sickens me.
It sickens you?
Yeah.
The hell were you guys just fighting about? I saw one of you yammering and the other one was kind of leaning back like they didn't
Oh,
want to hear it.
we were fake singing.
Oh, you're saying fake singing. I understand. That would be very painful to hear.
And then the music just cut out. And so I thought that
Yes.
AJ was trying to pull like a gotcha moment where I'm going to mute the music and now you're just going to hear Tevin singing. So.
I had a friend that had a voice like this. His real voice was like this. Hey, Tommy, how you doing? So he'd come and pick me up and we'd drive around and he would sing along to the radio. Oh, my God. It's been a hard day's night. Yeah, that's good, man. That sounds great. Sounds wonderful, ladies and gentlemen. So, a couple hours of that a day was enough. I remember one very other quick one. I had a friend named Joe Hager. His son still lives in town. I know that. But he was on 1500 KSTP with me. He did 6 to 10 when I did 10 to 2. And Joe and I became really, really good friends. We're riding around. And we had another friend with us. So there's me. There's an Italian guy from Camden, New Jersey, and my friend in the back seat, a black man in America today. Mm-hmm. So we pull up to the light at 6th and Hennepin. Yeah, 6th and Hennepin. We're stopped at a light, and this Asian woman was looking into the car because, you said this bland honky me, then you got Hager, then you got my other friend, and I'm not saying his name because I don't know if he wants me to bring this up because they'd probably cancel him, but she was looking into the car and she wouldn't look away. She kept staring into the car. He rolls down his window in the back seat and he goes, "What you looking at, Chinese woman?" First of all, how do you know she's Chinese? That'd be a pretty big, but it was funny. I mean, can we still he was not insulting her in any way, shape, or form.
No, you just pick what you can see and notice about her.
Exactly.
If she was wearing a red jacket, you'd comment on the red jacket.
Yeah. People got to stop being so sensitive. Some of that stuff is funny. I'm sorry. We all found it to be humorous. She even thought it was hilarious, as a matter of fact. She just started laughing. But, we can't do that stuff. No fun of any kind.
No. Because
I don't think that would have ruined anyone's life. What do you think?
I don't think so. That seems like a pretty harmless. We just all either laugh and move on.
He didn't mean anything by it. He's just trying to be funny. And it was funny. Let me say, I'm going to piss off every college professor and every college student in America. Happy Hanukkah, bitches.
Yeah, take that.
Take that home with you. Happy day, Jews. It's Hanukkah.
Yeah, it's Hanukkah.
What is that? 8 days, 8 nights?
Crazy
nights.
Listen to you, knowing all this stuff. I'm very happy for you. But no, Hanukkah is it was a very big deal in my neighborhood, man. We used to have they still put up the menorah on Highway 100.
Yep, I just drove by it.
I love that. When they didn't put it up for a couple of years when they were changing the highway, they were working on the highway.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
they didn't put it up for a couple of years. And where's the menorah? Let's go. I was just so used to it being there,
Yeah, I like it. And I always think about, today on my drive in, when you see it, you go so who's the main person that does that? I think to myself, because I'm not reliable for that. So I was I wonder if more people have to get trained in to make sure that is Jason the only one who knows how to do it? I had this whole thought about they better have backup. They better train everybody in because that's got to be around forever.
I will, because it's Hanukkah, I want to tell my favorite story working at the Jewish Community Center with Mike Gelfand. He used to invite me over to the Jewish Community Center, and I brought this up last week, but I'll say it again. Happy Hanukkah. Why is there a sign at the Jewish Community Center that says no dunking? Okay. Yeah, a lot of guys working out there can dunk a basketball. There's some,
bring a friend.
Yeah, bring it a friend. That's right, Dad. Bring a friend. Exactly. So we got a bunch of stuff to get to. One of the things that I'd like to mention is in his honor, to honor the passing of Norman Lear, who I adored. He used to be on the queue all the time. Just a great guy, very creative. What did I watch that he and Bud Yorkin came together to put on television? One of my favorite TV shows of all time. And if you can't guess out of the box, I can give you a couple of clues. You guys might not even know about this show because it was so long ago.
I was going to say Cheers.
Earlier than that, actually.
Okay.
This show is now, and I didn't even know this. This show would be now 51 years old.
Oh, jeez.
1972. But it's a very, very famous. It's an iconic show. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you another hint.
Okay.
The son on the show is named Lamont.
Oh,
All
this
in
is what
the
we talked to.
Family?
Yeah, with
Nope. Not All in the Family.
Good Times.
Nope.
Sanford and Son.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. Lamont.
That show is, to this day, 51 years later, is hilarious. Because between Damon Wilson, who played Lamont, his son, and did you know, by the way, why that show is called Sanford and Son? I never knew why, because it was Steptoe and Son in England, where it started. And then when that came over here and was produced over here, the name is Sanford and Son. Why is it called Sanford and Son?
I was just assumed that the main character's last name was Sanford.
Yeah.
Yep. But there's a bigger part of it.
Oh. I don't know.
The fact that Red Fox's real name is John Sanford.
Oh.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
I love all that stuff about Hollywood. Why is this called that? Why is this done this way? But I watched Sanford and Son. And by the way, there are, I believe, about 200 episodes, and I'm going to watch every one of them. We laughed so damn hard last night. The things that he would say to his son, again, I don't think you could say that stuff to your own son on TV anymore. Like, how'd you like one across your lips? He's going to punch his son in the face.
The casualness they used to threaten to punch people to the moon and back. Their wives. Yeah, like that doesn't seem to fit in with today's culture.
God, one of my favorite Jackie Gleason stories on The Honeymooners. You know, he never showed up for run-throughs. He never practiced. He just showed up while it was a live show, right? So he never was out there working it out with everybody else. He'd just show up and do his lines and do his part and all the rest of it. It did a great job. But at one time, he sat down at the table. Alice, I've come home in time for dinner. And he sits down, he puts his hand down, and it hits the pork chop on his plate. Yeah. The pork chop, now this is a live show, flips up in the air, hits the ground, and cracks in half because it's actually just a piece of wood. It's not a real pork chop.
Yeah.
Right? The live show to the nation, hottest show in the country at the time, flips it, pork chop breaks in half on the floor, looks down, and he goes, Alice, that pork chop is overcooked. That's brilliant. That
is good.
That's like
Isn't
great
that wonderful
improv. Yeah, that's just kind of working with the hand you're dealt.
And also probably gives his producers so much anxiety.
I
He
know.
rolls into the parking lot 10 minutes before the show and just like, let's wing it today.
Absolutely. So if you want to honor, because I did, I mean, he was the greatest producer, 101 years old. He lives to be Norman Lear. And I got to watch something that Norman produced. And I went all the way back and I went, man, I got to watch Sanford. I loved that show anyway because I was like 20 years old when it came out. It's a magnificent show. And when Aunt Esther, you guys ever watch the show? I mean, you've heard of it. Have you ever watched it?
No, I've just seen clips, I don't even think it played anywhere when I was younger. Maybe
like
Nick
Land.
at Night, but
yeah, TV Land was like where I would see that.
Yeah.
Frankly, though, I would usually skip past it as a kid, just because I would look at it and be like, okay, this I think I'm too young for whatever this is, and then
plus you're racist. That's the other part.
That was the big thing. Is little AJ was super racist.
That was also the same reason I skipped past Bonanza. I have
yes,
I dislike cowboys.
Yeah, I hate cowboy. That was a good show too, actually. But Norman Lear, God bless you. You and Bud Yorkin putting that show together and all the things that Norman Lear did. And Norman, thank you so many for appearing on the morning show so many times. Just being a great guy. I mean, this guy was phenomenally successful, incredibly wealthy. He acted like he was your next door neighbor. He's just a great guy.
That's awesome.
So if there's a heaven, I'm sure he's there. Right?
Absolutely.
And if there's a heaven, Judd will be there someday. I do know that.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's good news. Thank you. I was sweating that,
Good news.
Borderline. I think I'm borderline. So that'd be great. But no, you are right, Tom. My God, think about Norman Lear's impact on the 70s.
Oh God, it's unbelievable. What a talent that man was. No question. And look, a lot of people said they would never watch television again because of him. Well, he's putting people like Negroes in places of prominence. I remember there were complaints like that.
And All in the Family. If you go back and watch that now,
love it.
That is a show. But I mean, you talk about tackling topics. Hell, even Maude. Maude had an entire show on abortion in the 70s.
That's right. I forgot about that. You're absolutely right. They did. That was great television. I got to be honest with you. TV right now is maybe the best it's ever been because of streaming.
Yes.
I mean, the streaming shows are just incredibly good, most of them. But back then, the television in the late 60s, maybe it was because of, the Kennedy assassination, and Martin Luther King was killed, and then Robert Kennedy was killed. And they just kind of realized, man, look, it's 1970, 71. We've been through 3 years of this. We got to start laughing again. And I think that's exactly why those shows were so good. The country was in misery for about 3, 4, 5 years because of all the things that happened in the late 60s. Unfortunately, like I said, Northside burned to the ground, but other than that, the rest of the neighborhood looked really good.
That's the thing I've said though, my childhood for the most part, my teenage years, because I came of age in the 80s. For people my age, we had it really easy for a long time. Like there wasn't a lot of right. But what I'm saying is, I think now we think it's so tumultuous, and the reality is, to what you're saying, the 60s and into the early 70s.
Yeah.
That was a different world. Like that was also as tumultuous, if not more so than now in some ways, probably, right?
In some ways. The only thing now it terrifies me, to be honest, is the hatred people have for humanity. It's so troubling that we teach that in our schools, to hate people.
Well,
Isn't
right.
that
But
amazing?
it is, but you know what? People don't recall this, and I don't recall it firsthand, but I mean, there are stories about the people that came back from fighting in Vietnam who were spit on, who were despised, who were hated because they signified, they shouldn't have, but somehow they ended up signifying all that was wrong with the war when they just went and did their job. And now I feel like, for the soldiers who have come back, and this is the right thing, they're far more praised. They certainly aren't seen as the problem. Right. So they're like that's a hatred that we don't have now that we had then, that I totally don't get. Like, why would you pick people and say that they signified a war when they basically, they signed up, but they also went and fought in what sounds like it was hell. So interesting times.
You also have to remember, and my friend Bobby Knotts, who was in the United States Army, they didn't join the Army. They were drafted.
Yeah.
It was not their choice to do it. They were drafted to go fight. And how you could piss on someone who had no option, I don't understand. I'll never understand it.
My mom was always very concerned about a draft because she had seen that, and she was always like, thought that when things went sideways, that there might be a draft again. And I can't imagine having your number called.
I was number 27 in the draft. That's a very low number.
That is low.
But I had 2 hernia operations from lifting weights. I had gotten 2 hernias from lifting weights. So they said, we can't put you in the Army. You got 2 hernia repairs here. You can't come in. I was not good enough to get in actually I was drafted in the Marine Corps, because they did draft into every service back then.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, people don't know that. Most people, it was mostly Army and Marines. Most of it was Army and Marines.
Sure. I didn't know that.
Yep. It's great history. No question about it. But I just, I don't know. It's just one of those situations where if they think things are really bad now, you should maybe have gone through the 60s and early 70s, because you'd think this was heaven, except for the fact, and it's around the world, it's not just America, people hate one another now, which I've never understood.
Yeah, I just don't know. My whole thing, and this translates to all walks of life and all things, is the recency bias of us always. We we always think the current thing is like this incredible thing,
Right?
But I mean, what the 50s, the 50s had the whole thing, the whole communism thing, right? And like that's some weird stuff, man.
Yeah, I never even knew what communism was until I was about like 7. Then I found out a lot about what communism was when I was 7.
Yep.
There was a big, I just watched Oppenheimer. Did you ever watch the movie, the 3-hour movie?
I've not seen it. No.
It
Heard
is
great
phenomenal.
things about it. Great things about it. Yep.
It's a phenomenal movie. And that comes up all the time in that. How do you make a decision? And I still don't understand one thing, and I don't want to get too heavy here, but I still don't understand, because basically Japan had surrendered and they still bombed it to scare Russia. I mean, think about that choice that Harry Truman made. You didn't have to bomb Japan, but you did. I don't, and again, unless the history books I've read are all wrong, it was to scare Russia, not the Japanese. Isn't that weird?
Very interesting. I did not know that.
Nobody knows that because they don't teach that.
I didn't know that.
It's so disgusting.
Interesting. Nothing surprises me, though.
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. But in any case, let's go on to some lighter topic. Like, let's talk about Hitler. No.
What's everybody's stance on gun control? No.
Yeah.
Oh
my God. No.
Did somebody tell you? I didn't tell you this. I was walking down the sidewalk. AJ, this is weird. Gun control. I was walking down the sidewalk a few days ago. This guy goes, "Man, look at that wallet in your pocket." I said, "That's not a wallet. It's a gun." He goes, "Oh."
You said it's not a wallet. I'm just happy to see you.
That's a weird,
exactly.
That's a weird interaction from the get-go, from the start.
Got it.
If I was walking and I saw a bump in someone's pocket, I'd say, "Look at that wallet in your pocket." And I have
exactly.
It's weird.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is, it was my left front pocket. It was not in my back pocket. It was in my left front pocket. And I suppose why he would think that's a wallet, because you keep your wallet in your back pocket, don't you?
Usually. And just, a word of advice for that guy, don't walk. There's certain neighborhoods you shouldn't walk down and go, "Hey, nice wallet in your pocket," because they're going to think you're trying to get one over on them and probably jump you.
That's a little different than like, "Hey, I like that shirt."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's different. But it all works out in the end. So, now I leave this up to you and Tevin. If there's any great cheering to be done for our sports teams.
Yeah, Judd, what are we doing with Josh Dobbs? Like, I get it. He hasn't necessarily played, ungodly terrible, but he hasn't. We can move on from him. I think we've seen what the ceiling is, and we know what we've got. We should probably move on. But they want to name him the starter. What's going on over there?
This speaks to, I think, how incredibly average to below average Nick Mullins truly is.
Yeah.
And the Jaron Hall thing, he played essentially 2 series and didn't look bad, but he was a 5th-round draft pick. They never intended to play him. Mm-hmm. So, Tevin, I think what this is, and there's a bunch of teams in the same boat now because there's so many starting quarterbacks hurt. I think what this is a lesson that when you lose your quarterback, you're sort of in a way screwed. It doesn't mean you're going to miss the playoffs, but it's not like you got a lot of good choices.
No.
So you got to make one choice. I'm just glad they made a choice. But I think that this is a vote of Nick Mullins. They thought about it and they thought, let's try that Josh Dobbs one more time. Let's see what we can get from him one more time.
Yeah. What do you feel long term? Does this have any implications on bringing Josh Dobbs back for next season, or is it still, all the eggs in Kirk's basket, trying to work out a deal with him?
Well, I think they'd like to. It sounds like they'd like to bring Kirk back, but again, I don't know how much they're going to pay him. That's the thing is, and if he coming off a torn Achilles, he's going to be 36 next summer. If he wants a long, a 3-year contract at $40 million per year, I don't think they can do that. I think if they move on, they'll probably try and draft a quarterback. Like, I don't think Josh Dobbs, if Josh Dobbs comes back for cheap, might they bring him back? Yeah, sure. Absolutely. If nothing else, he's a good guy and he can play a little bit, but, I don't think the answer is clear yet. And I don't think Kirk is going to come back at as cheap as they probably want. So my question is, how much would they pay Kirk? Because they've got a lot of other guys, Jefferson, Darisaw eventually here, Danielle Hunter, I hope, to take care of. So like, this is the interesting question about what the next move is. And I don't know that a decision has been made yet.
No.
Is there anybody they're looking at?
So
in the draft, I mean.
Yeah, there's a bunch of quarterbacks in the draft. Now it partially depends on where they select, which probably right now would be in the 20s. But it's definitely a draft deep enough where if O'Connell likes a quarterback, it would make sense to take one high. And the other thing is O'Connell was hired because he knows quarterback play. Like, Tom, that's the thing with this team for years. You know, they did not draft well at quarterback, or in the case of Bridgewater, got unlucky. So I think what we're looking at here is Vikings fans are going to have to put their faith in, if O'Connell drafts a quarterback, that he was hired for that purpose.
Right,
Now, if it fails, he'll take a ton of heat. But I just don't know. I don't think Kirk is going to take the type of pay cut that people are hoping Kirk will take.
Right.
And I guess I don't blame him.
No, I don't blame him, but I also don't blame the team for not giving a lot of money to a 37-year-old quarterback.
Oh, I agree completely.
Because by then he'll be 37, right?
He'll be 36 next summer. But
36. Okay.
Yeah, but let's say he signs a 3-year contract. I mean, now he's pushing 40, and if he wants what I think he's going to want, that wouldn't be cheap. So yeah, there's just a lot of things. Now it'll be a big deal, partially because Kirk is a very polarizing guy, and there's a lot of people who love Kirk Cousins. But you know, again, they brought O'Connell in here to try to find a quarterback. That's what I'm convinced of, and they should have. It's a good move, but they've got 5 games left. They've got the Raiders on Sunday. Then they play at the Bengals, so the Bengals quarterback, Joe Burrow, is out. So a former Viking, like 3rd string quarterback, Jake Browning, is playing there now. And then the final 3 games are Detroit, Green Bay, and then at Detroit. So it'll be interesting to see. Right now, they're in the 6th seed. There's 7 teams that go to the playoffs, but there's a bunch of teams grouped really close. So the next month for sure will decide their fate. And the thing is, if they do miss the playoffs, the only upside is your draft position improves, but I think they'll probably make the playoffs.
Tevin, they're going to make the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so. It'll be, the 6th or 7th seed, kind of in by the skin of our teeth. Will we win the game? Probably not. We'll see. It really just depends on what play we get from our quarterback. I don't know.
It'll be very Vikings-like, won't it?
Yeah. It's like I look at this team as we have a Super Bowl caliber, supporting cast on offense around as far as skill position goes, and our defense is playing well, but unfortunately our quarterback just isn't gonna be good enough to get us anywhere.
Seems like it. Okay, I know you got to go, Judd, but was there someone, G.I. Jane or something like that? Is there somebody on the show that was in the United States Army? And we should probably tip our caps through today, because today is Pearl Harbor Day, sister.
Yeah, it's also my anniversary.
Oh, my God. Oh. A couple of bombs.
Wow.
Think about that. Pearl Harbor Day's your anniversary?
She's very patriotic.
Yeah.
of like marriage, or like starting your enlistment or stuff?
My marriage.
Oh, wow. Okay. Hey,
2 years?
congratulations.
3 years?
5 years.
5 years? Nice.
Time flies.
Thanks.
That's a heck of a day to get married on.
It kind of just worked out that way. We only were engaged for like a month, and we did something really quick, and it was the only day that my some of my family could come. So it was like,
that wasn't it. You're lying, because you called me and said, I can't let this one get away. I remember it.
And I wasn't a big wedding either. It was very little.
It was a great wedding. Your wedding was very nice.
Super fun. But yeah. So I always go Pearl Harbor Day and my wedding. So I usually we play it cool on our wedding.
Well, the officiant at the wedding said, if anyone objects to this, and I went, hey, and then he just shut me off. He wouldn't let me say a word. I was going to try to shut it down to save her husband, but they wouldn't let me.
She said, lock it up, Thomas Bernard.
So
lock it up, Buster.
So one month though? Like how? Yeah. So how you met or dated for a month?
No, we were engaged for a month. Judd,
Okay. I was gonna say, well, you said a month. I'm like, what?
So we dated for a year, and he asked me to marry him on our dating anniversary because we were older. Like I said, I was 32, so like it was one of those things. And he asked me to marry him, and then we wanted to start looking for houses.
Yeah,
he had all the money, but I had the VA loan, so I was like, all right, let's do something, but not a big thing, and it was perfect.
Oh, so you were trying to scam your way into the little housing situation.
Scam our way into his wallet. Am I right?
Hey.
Oh, high five. Oh, they're actually
Wow.
high-fiving.
They
Oh,
actually
my
did
God.
high five. But I will say this though, that makes you low maintenance, which is not a bad thing there. Like I don't think there's a lot of people who would have planned and executed a wedding that quickly and in December. So
Yeah, it was cool. Like I actually, because there's a place I volunteer at called Gigi's Playhouse, and it's a Center for Down Syndrome, and I volunteer at the adult night, and so we just did it there, and I invited all the people, the participants there, and then whoever family could come, and Tom and some friends. So it wasn't a big thing. It was really chill, and we
It was
danced.
great.
and
It was a great wedding.
nice.
It was just
Awesome.
like I said, yeah. It was kind of like we want to bookmark this, but I listen. I'm high maintenance in a lot of ways, but this was like I don't have that. I don't have that gene in my brain that wants to plan weddings.
Okay, should I tell him on the way out because we got to go? But Brittany, I've told you that you may have forgotten about this. When I asked Catherine to marry me, what did she say to me?
Fine.
That's close. Anybody else?
She said, I suppose.
You got it. That's exactly. She goes, I suppose. Yeah, thanks, honey. Been together for 43 years, been married for 39 years. Often, I suppose.
Yeah.
What do you
It
think of that?
worked. See, it worked though.
What was your reaction to that? Were you like caught off guard?
Did you high five her?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I kind of high-fived her because, look, I have known for 43 years out kicking the coverage. I'm sorry. It's very obvious to me. I understand. There's no we meet people still to this day. They look at my wife and they look at me and they go like, what? It's like, thanks. Leave me, get the hell away from me. Shut up. Well, they probably do that to your husband, Brittany.
Yeah. They constantly tell me I could. I did pretty well. Is that what you're saying?
No, the other way, you dope.
My husband's fine as hell, though.
Fine.
He's got those shoulders. Yeah, no, he's looking good.
He's got those shoulders. Sounds like a Ken doll. He's got those.
When I saw him walk up on our first date,
He's got new shirts.
I was literally like, our first date, I thought, because he had a golden retriever, Murphy, who's now obviously mine, but like he walked up with a golden retriever and he had like a great body, and I was like, I'm gonna hate this guy. I'm gonna hate him because he reminded me of so many people I was in the military with, and I was like, pretty boy, get out of here. And then I was like, oh, I like him.
This sounds very like You've Got Mail at the end, where
Yeah, it
Tom
does.
Hanks walked up with the golden retriever.
Yep.
At first, you were like, I don't like this guy, and then it's like, well, he does have a book franchise, so
That's exactly how it went. I was like, you have how much in savings? All right,
Yeah.
let's talk.
How much money? Let's look at your bank account.
He was just too attractive for me. It's like I was like, you're fine as hell. So
All right. I know it's 2.5 weeks till Christmas, but pipe down. She's just working for a gift. That's all she's doing right now.
and an anniversary gift today. Hopefully you already went and got something.
It's too late for that. You have to work on Christmas.
It does suck to get married on Pearl Harbor though, because it's always you got your Pearl Harbor gift and your anniversary.
Yeah, there you go. There you have it. Judd, thank you, sir. We will talk to you again next week.
Awesome. See you Tuesday.
Bye, Judd.
See
Judd
ya.
Delgado, Score North, ladies and gentlemen. Take a break. Be right back. Chris Egert will join us in minutes. You've all helped support My Pillow, and supported them yourselves and their employees in these tough economic times. Mike Lindell knows this, continues to give back to listeners with great deals on his most popular products. Right now, you can save 50% on Queen and King pillows. The original My Slippers, the My Pillow 6-pack bath towel sets are back in stock. The proprietary technology makes them extremely absorbent, yet still provides that soft feel you look for in a towel. The set comes with 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. The regular price, $79.98. But for a limited time, you can get the 6-pack towel set for only $39.99 with promo code TOM. That's a 50% savings. So go to MyPillow.com, use promo code TOM to save 50% on the MyPillow 6-pack towel sets. That is just $39.99 for a set. This deal will not last long. Enter promo code Tom for the special and many more.
Is that text you're sending so important that you missed your turn? Is that text you're sending so important that you ran the red light? Is that text you're sending so important you didn't see the ball coming onto the road or the child that followed? Hi, I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw and Bryant. When you take your eyes off the road for even 4 seconds, your vehicle travels 100 yards. That's the entire length of a football field. If you absolutely have to text, you need to pull off the road somewhere safe and do it from there. Texting and driving is against the law and can cause serious injury or even death to you and others. Now that is important. We hope you're never injured in a collision, but if you are, please contact us.
Find Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Going farther with Mike Bryant on your side, seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
I am so happy to welcome back our longtime friend, Sabre Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning, to the show. I've known Steve, the owner, for many years. I completely trust Sabre to keep my house comfortable. They always have. Why? Sabre does everything the right way. That's why. And they always put the customer first, which is even better. I love the team at Sabre because their service experts are experienced NATE certified technicians. They're not salespeople. Their pricing is completely upfront, and they fix only what needs to be fixed, nothing more. Sabre is dedicated to giving customers what they need when they need it and at the fair price, keeping your family safe and comfortable without breaking the bank. Give Sabre Heating and Air Conditioning a try. I know they'll take care of you just like they've taken care of me and my family. Whether you need a new Bryant furnace or air conditioner replaced or just simply need a service call to get you going again, go to saberheating.com. That's SABRE heating.com. Sabre and Bryant, whatever it takes. Oh, look, who's all still not dressed up like a businessman.
Oh, snap.
Oh, snap. Really?
Oh, dang, coming to your life.
Wow,
It's
Tom,
Chris Egert.
right out the bat.
No, you don't have to go in again today?
I'm at work. Stop.
He's at the fake living room.
So this is his second apartment. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back in my crib, just reading some leather-bound books.
His downtown apartment.
I like it. Channel 5's Chris Egert is brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation, 952-925-5608. Chris Egert from Channel 5 Eyewitness News. So, he gets up and wanders away during the intro.
There are books back here. And
what do you got?
This is, oddly enough, I think this is in the wrong place. New York Times Everyday Reader's Dictionary of Misunderstood, Misused, Mispronounced Words.
Dang.
You have to understand something, though. They did put that in a television station or a radio station.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying.
There you go.
Probably belongs over at Care 11, not here.
Oh, I like that call. That's a good call. They're a bunch of pricks.
I'm going to start switching things out in there and see if you notice. I'm going to put like really smutty books in the background.
Oh my gosh. I've honestly never even looked back there at the books until right now. I had no idea.
That would be the best prank ever. Just like all of a sudden, Channel 5, you just have in the background like the 50 Shades of Grey books or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when people go to Golden Corral and they'll hang like an old timey photo they took at the mall to see.
It's pretty funny.
Do they do that at Golden Corral? They hang up your picture?
No, like people bring their own photo in that's framed, and then they try to put it on the wall and see how long it'll last. Yeah,
because like Golden Corral, or you'll get restaurants where they'll have just family portraits. Like there's in Newt's in Apple Valley, they have like essentially all of their family pictures on the wall. And every time I go there, I'm like, I wonder if I could sneakily add mine without anybody knowing.
They would love it. They would love it.
You know, actually, Golden Corral, the only time I've ever been to Golden, and I got nothing against Golden Corral, but the only time I've ever been there is when Andy was a teenager. Oh, no, he might have been in his early 20s. He wanted to eat every meal at Golden Corral. He just loved it.
What is it? I've never eaten there.
It's a buffet.
Oh, okay.
Known for its chocolate fountain.
Yeah, there is a chocolate fountain, isn't there, Tevin? Good call.
I don't think you should have a chocolate fountain amongst people you don't know.
No, because you know there's people just lapping it up out of there like a cat.
And that's different than Cracker Barrel, right? Because I've been to Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, Cracker Barrel, you get to order your own and you sit down and there's table service.
And
Not Golden Corral, baby. You just go and just keep on going.
So what happened to Old Country Buffet? Are they still around or they're not around?
I think there's like one or two still around.
Is there no CB still around?
But it's not quality.
I've been to Old Country Buffet.
No,
Yeah.
it's
Those are
definitely
similar.
not quality,
Okay.
but
Wait a minute. I didn't hear that. What'd you say?
it's oh yeah, there's some. Oh wait, let's
Permanently closed.
Uh,
Permanently closed. Permanently
sad.
closed.
Yeah, there was one in Fridley for the longest time, and then got leveled for some like new apartment buildings. But that was like why would you ever go to? I never saw the attraction of Old Country Buffet.
We thought that was delicious.
Oh,
when I was
Hey,
like,
there was
middle school Tevin was
Yes.
all about
Yeah.
it. Buffet.
high school kid eat, when you could consume 9 trillion calories a day and still be rail thin.
So why'd they all close if they were so popular?
I think COVID did a lot of those places in. I don't.
Good call.
I remember the Supermoon is my favorite local buffet. You guys been over there, right?
oh,
It's 94.
yeah.
Yeah.
And St. Louis. Yeah, here it's so funny because as soon as I searched Old Country Buffet, it immediately was like, "Why don't you go over here to Supermoon Buffet? You'll find this delicious."
That sounds so good right now. Gosh, maybe I'll go there today for lunch. Just destroy
By
it.
yourself, just like acting a fool
Yeah.
at a buffet.
Yeah.
Lucky enough for us Fridleyites, right after that closed, Teppanyaki Grill, which at the time maybe still is, they bolstered it as the largest buffet in the state of Minnesota.
Oh, sweet.
So
Really?
and that's just square footage. I don't,
That's right off of. Oh, go ahead, Tom.
No, just very quickly. The one thing I did notice about going to Supermoon, there's always at least one couple in there, and if you add them together, they come in at about 1,000.
Yeah. There's usually at buffets some people that'll tip the scales, which is probably why a lot of them went under because of the new health crazes where everybody's trying to lose weight. You can't really accomplish that at Supermoon Buffet, but
Wasn't I going to gain 300 pounds for the show so we could have a reality show? Because I feel like this would align with our game plan then.
right. Well, when I lived in Fargo, there was a Chinese buffet. It was King House Buffet, I believe it was called. They would let you take to-go plates.
That's
Oh
wild.
my God.
And so we would all go in there and just stuff our faces with orange chicken and Mongolian beef. And then can we get 7 to-go boxes?
That's wild.
And then come out and we would go home. It's great.
Speaking of to-go stuff,
Indeed.
this has been an idea of mine for the longest time. And this is not legal in any sense, but I want bars to have to-go beers where you just promise, I'm not going to open this till I get home, but you're like, I just want that draft beer. I just want one for the road.
I pinky promise I won't open it.
I
till
promise
get
I'm not
home.
going to drink this on the
I
road.
promise.
Definitely won't drink this while I'm driving home.
Texas, man. When I was in I went to Texas for the military for medic training. Tom, you could get picked up by a cab and just get wasted in the back seat because it was legal.
Sure.
Open containers were legal as long as you were driving. And that blew our mind. We would constantly grabbing roadies.
Well, when I lived in Louisiana, they had a daiquiri shop that had a drive-through. So you'd go through McDonald's style and be like, yeah, I'll take 3 strawberry McDaggers. Hey, you want anything in the back? They'd card the driver, nobody else, and off you go with a straw in your drink. Yeah.
Indeed. There was in North Minneapolis on Washington Avenue, and basically it was Washington and Broadway, but right by I-94. There was a place called Jug Liquors when I was a kid, and they had a drive-through. And I always thought, why would you ever open a drive-through at a liquor store?
Nobody is that busy. I'm sorry.
No.
If I'm going to casually drink whatever, you can walk in. You can take the couple steps.
Oh, no, I love the drive-up liquor. There's one of those in my college town, Thunderbird Liquor. You just pull right up, case of Busch Light. They grab it, put it out, boom, you're on the road.
Was it one of those that was like a barn? Have you ever been to one of those where it's like you literally drive into the store and it's
I've
just
seen
lined
those
with
before.
coolers?
Yeah.
And you have the workers there, and you're like, yeah, let me get a jug of the Long Island iced tea and throw a couple of beers in there, and we're off on the road. It's like,
I'm so busy. I can't go in.
too busy drinking to get out of my car and go pick up something.
Those were the days, ladies and gentlemen. Those were the days. That's all I have to say. But
those were the days.
So what's going on in the news, Mr. Egert?
We had a fire this morning in North Minneapolis, apartment fire that was going pretty good for quite a while. Over a dozen people who had to be displaced from their apartment. It's a pretty good size apartment complex.
Do you know where it is?
Nobody was hurt though. Let me see if I can get you across street. It's near North, but
So Plymouth Avenue.
yeah, I think it was off of Plymouth Avenue. I don't have the coordinates of where it was in front of me here on the script, unfortunately.
And nobody was hurt. Nobody was hurt.
No, nobody was hurt, and they
Good.
did rescue a cat, and they did cat CPR, and our photographer was right there. And I've seen that before. I don't know if you guys have seen that before, but
Nope.
They just put they have a little pet mask that they just basically shove the pet's whole head in there and close it off so they can get oxygen. And they seemed the cat revived the cat or whatever and handed it off to the owner. So that was nice.
It is a nice thing. And just have to understand one thing. The reason that I asked you if anyone was hurt, I wanted to make sure before I said this, because it's probably true. Since 1967, that's probably about the third house that's burned down on that lot.
If you know where it is?
Well, they burned that whole area down in 1967. The whole avenue burned to the ground. Then they tried to make a comeback. And then again in about the 90s, early 2000s, a lot of fires in North Minneapolis back in those days.
This place appeared to be newish, but maybe I mean relatively new, but I'm not sure. So it could have been. Yeah. I'm sorry I didn't get the exact address.
Unfortunate. I've been through it and it's not pleasant. Being in a house that's on fire is not fun.
No, you said that a couple weeks ago. That's terrible.
Yeah. Man, we all got out though. That's good. Well, it's only my mother and me that were home at the time, so that's a good thing. The dog did not. The dog got out and then went back in. It's like, oh God, what are you doing?
My dog did not want to live with you.
Oh my God, Tom made it forget.
The dog's it looked over its shoulder and it's like, well, forget it. I'm going back in the fire.
I'm gonna stay with this guy. Forget it. I'd rather give my soul up.
As you're running out, he's running back in.
Exactly. That's exactly how it happened. You're absolutely right. I can't even deny it. Mean ass dog.
That's so sad.
It's very
what else? What else? Well, let's see. They figured out that cougar that was hit and killed yesterday.
Yeah. Yep.
They tracked the DNR was able to get a look at its ear tag, and they tracked it back to northwestern Nebraska.
Wow.
Really?
Wow. Yep. So, and it's a couple years old, and over here from there. So, as a former resident of Nebraska, I get it. I wanted to get out of there too.
That's nice.
I'm just kidding. I actually really liked Omaha. I liked Omaha a lot.
I like Omaha. I've been there a bunch, and their zoo is amazing.
Yeah, it's a nice town. But anyway, so that's the deal with that.
If it was chipped and tagged, and obviously, I mean, they don't have somebody that their job is just to watch the locations of all the cougars in Nebraska, but shouldn't they have been able to, animal control, find it a little bit faster?
It's not GPS. It's
not chips.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see.
Yep.
I saw a news story of just talking about that, and there wasn't really specifics yet. So they were just like, yeah, so this cougar was hit by a car and killed, and authorities are saying it might be the right one. It might be the only one that we thought it was, but also we can't confirm yet. So just watch out if you're roaming around that area. There might still be another cougar.
Well, they don't run in packs, do they? They're solitary, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's the thing. There's not fingerprints that you can be like, yep, that's the one. You know?
I suppose.
My nanny girl lives over there, and she's 16. And I texted her, and I was like, but I feel like you could. She's 16, and she's a hockey player. I feel like she could take on a cougar. I think she could fight.
Oh, hell no. Those things are they're brutal.
Are you drunk right now?
Do you guys think you guys couldn't fight a cougar?
No,
absolutely.
I would die in 10 seconds.
Hell no. It bites your face off.
Am I? I think I could fight a cougar.
Brittany, it's a 200-pound cat.
2 weeks ago, you said you could fight a moose.
No, I said I could pierce through the pelt of a bison. That's what I said.
What is it? Oh my God! I said
if it was sleeping. I said if it was sleeping and I had a spear, I could get through its pelt. I want to make that very clear. I never said I could fight a moose. And it was a buffalo.
That's wild. A cougar would murder all of us.
Tom, you could take a cougar.
Yeah, I'm not involved in this conversation, obviously. I tried to get in a couple of times, but
Tom, you don't think you could punch a cougar straight in its face?
I think that Chris Egert stirs the pot, and that's why you guys get so wound up during this whole segment. You were all laid back until now, but then Egert ruined it. It's your fault.
I'm a conversation starter, Tom. That's my job.
But I'm here to tell you, no, I do not think I could punch a cougar in the face and get away with it.
How about kick it? Like, I'm just saying, you guys.
It's a cougar.
Tom, you don't think you could drop kick a cougar, at least to get it scared and run away?
Well, when you approach it, it'd probably run away unless it's very pissed off, and then you got major problems.
All right.
So that's all I'm saying. No, I don't think a 210-pound cat that's all muscle, too, by the way.
Right.
It's not like they've been at the old Supermoon buffet, you know.
It'll turn you to the Supermoon buffet, Brittany. Like, are you going to fight a tiger as well after you're done? Like, where?
Tigers are much bigger than cougars. Don't be ridiculous, Kevin.
Just can't do this today.
Boy, look at the time. I'd love
Well,
to.
all right. Good to talk to you guys.
That segment just fell apart. There's a bunch of yammering. That was your fault, Chris.
I'll accept the blame, Tom, and I'll try to do better tomorrow.
All right, Pally. We look forward to talking tomorrow.
Have a good day, guys. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Egert, Channel 5's Chris Egert, brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation, 952-925-5608. Chris Egert taking care of business, ladies and gentlemen. Wait a minute. I got to grab that again because I got to do a spot here, don't I?
Yes.
What the hell did I do with it? See, I was listening to you guys yammering and I lost my place. I love that when you guys get on those deals where it's like, no, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. Like, calm down. Everything will be fine. I got it now, sister. You hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we'll be right back right after this, ladies and gentlemen. You know the song Kokomo? It's supposed to be off the Florida Keys, right? Hate to break your Beach Boys bubble, but that's a fictitious place they made up for the song. Fortunately for the rest of us, the Florida Keys island chain are as real as the taxes you have to pay in Minnesota if you're a resident. Now, that's a reason to move south. In addition to Florida and all of Monroe County being beautiful, the Keys from Key Largo to Key West are even more beautiful. This is Tom Barnard, part-time Florida resident myself. And if you want a second house or a new retirement home or want to become a Floridian, may I suggest you contact Matt Carlson from One Key West Realty. Matt grew up in Litchfield. He's a super real estate agent when it comes to finding your tropical island space in the Keys. He lives there and here. And Matt knows what's best in Key West to buy for your second home in Florida. Matt teamed up with fellow Minnesotan from Sartell and Alexandria, Kristyn Eklund, who's one of the top mortgage brokers in the country from Coast to Coast Mortgage. She'll get you the financing you need to buy a home in Florida or in Minnesota. Matt's part of the Lake Sotheby's International Realty Group here in Minnesota. And Kristyn, his mortgage colleague, lives and works in the Keys, so they both know the Florida Keys, new and existing homes for sale. And are Minnesotan through and through. Contact them by heading to onekeywest.com. That is onekeywest.com.
This is Bob Sansevier, and I want to tell you about Dave Bialke from Bialke Law. Dave represented my wife, Mary, when she had a significant workplace injury. She was very happy with the job Dave did. If you have a work-related injury and have Dave represent you, I'm betting you'll be happy too. Dave is a down-to-earth guy. He grew up in northern Minnesota, rides a Harley, and worked various jobs doing concrete, electrical, plumbing, roofing, and carpentry work. Dave works for people with work-related injuries. If you work construction, or anywhere for that matter, and you're hurt or even just hurting, you should talk to Dave. Let's face it, our bodies wear out. If your body is worn out from work, if your knees or back or shoulders hurt from things you do at work, do what Mary did. Call Dave and talk to him about it at Bialke Law to set up a free initial consultation. The number to call is 763-571-2410. That's 763-571-2410. Or visit bialkelaw.com. That's BIALKE law.com.
Why should your business bank with North American Banking Company? Here's Landon and Gavin Miller of D&B Plating.
I've always been impressed with their speed of answers to our questions, and that has allowed us to expand and capitalize on opportunities in the market.
North American Banking Company has never made us feel like a number. They've always treated us as a partner.
For more information about North American Banking Company, go to nabankco.com or stop by any one of their Twin Cities locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
The new Tom Barnard Show is proud to have partners like Bradshaw & Bryant, MyPillow, and North American Banking Company founder, chairman, and president, Mike Bilski.
I've advertised on Tom's show for years, and the reason is simple. My business is recognized because of the ads, and that recognition has created growth. What business doesn't want to grow? I highly recommend the Tom Barnard Morning Show for your advertising.
Grow results for your business by partnering with the Tom Barnard Show. Visit tombarnardshow.com, keyword partner.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Before the show started, somebody said that was it Tevin? Tevin, you had a story, or you were telling them some story. Remember you guys brought that up to me just before the start of the show this morning?
I know Brittany had an eventful morning.
No.
Oh, Brittany's the one. That's who it is.
We're not talking about it.
I heard you got your ass kicked.
No, I didn't.
What I heard.
I do have a lot of listeners writing in that I would get my ass kicked by a cougar, and I'm starting to realize they're probably right. I believe them more than I believe you guys.
Okay. Well, that's good. So we want to hear this story. People are clamoring to hear the story about how you got a fist fight this morning or something.
Yeah, no. Okay. I don't like this because I don't want to put anyone on blast. But there's a dog in my neighborhood that's been barking at 6 a.m. for about 10, 15 minutes or longer. And I had enough time where I was getting into my car and I heard this dog barking. So I ran through my yard and the neighbor's yard to go knock on their front door. And they were so nice. I was like, hey, we got to do something about this dog. It just felt unhinged because it was 7 a.m. And I made the decision to go talk. I was like, we got to do something about this dog. And she was so nice. She's like, I know. And I was like, okay, because we can't do this. She's like, I know. So it was just a very, me running through the yards felt very unhinged, but the conversation had to happen. And she was lovely. And I have to now I go, all right, now I need to go talk to her again to be like, just so you know, I don't care when the dog barks 99% of the time, but anything before 7:30, we got to let the dog in. We can't have the dog just barking in the backyard.
I have a question. So there's something that's making the dog bark every morning. Have they figured out what that is?
She said, yeah, she goes yeah, it's the dogs. This dog sees the dogs next door. And I get it. It happens. But waking up to a dog barking let's say I have my alarm set for 6:30 and I wake up at 6:25 for a dog barking. That's not the vibe. If Go-Go wakes up at 7 instead of 7:30 because the dog is barking, that's not the vibe. We don't need that. And she was so nice about it. So I felt really unhinged at the door, but I was like, I need to do this. It's been so many mornings of this is our alarm.
But I have a question. So it's every morning this dog does this?
Almost every morning, yeah.
Well, they can't let the dog just stand out there and bark at 6:30 in the morning every day, for God's sake.
I know. You know what, though? I think you get used to what you're used to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she looked like she was a mom, too. Probably had other things going on, trying to whatever.
Yeah.
I get it. And, the thing is I don't even mind if it barks a few times and you let it in. But,
yeah.
It's just, it was time. I had reached, and it was maybe a combination, when something just rubs you the wrong way and you're getting in your car, this dog's barking. And I was just in my mind, I thought, it's time. It's time to meet the neighbors at 7 a.m.
You woke up and chose violence this morning.
I know. And a part of me is maybe we have bad installation because maybe it's not bugging other bit. I don't know. Maybe I got to get our windows checked because maybe I shouldn't be able to hear it, but it was time.
Well, but I have a question for you. Even if I came home for lunch at noon every day, I wouldn't want to hear a damn dog barking the whole time I'm trying to eat lunch every day.
You know what? I get how that would bug other people. That wouldn't even bug me that much. A
Really?
dog barking. No, because I'll have music on or it doesn't, it's the wake up. That's the only thing that I'm not, I don't mind. My husband gets a little more irritated with things than I do. The cat will play with a hair binder on the ground and I'll be, typing on my computer. I don't get bugged by too much. The waking up that way is just, and then you lay there going, please stop. I still have 10 more minutes to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Please stop. Please stop. No. Okay. This is my life now.
I could not deal with that. Like I said, we live in that townhouse part of town or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
I could not put up with a dog barking every morning at 6:30. No way.
Yeah. So it was, I'm sure that people have some ring cams with a woman running through their yards at 7 a.m. this morning, but it was time. And she was lovely. And like I said, I want to follow up and make sure she knows that I'm not mad and I get it. We all have our things. And I love dogs and I love her dogs. I'm sure if I met them, but anything before 7:30, let's just take it easy on it. Let's let the dog pee and immediately come back in.
I would like to warn your neighbor that if you find your dog shot to death in the backyard, it was not Brittany that did it.
No, Tom. Seriously.
I'm saying it's not you
No,
that did it.
Not helping. Not helping.
Oh, so you had plans.
No.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Brittany was actually going to fight that cougar into submission and then bring it to her neighbor's house.
To hang it on a stick.
Right.
No, dude, what's so funny?
Just like a full Nelson, you drag it over.
I actually caught myself in a lie while I was talking to her. I said, hey, my infant is sleeping right there. And I go, okay, wait, no, she's a year and a half. I go, you know how you still call your kid a baby when they're not your baby? And we both kind of laughed, like, haha. So I was like mid-lie, but I was like, my infant, my 2-day-old baby is sleeping in that window.
Well, it was a good argument.
We had hopefully a good interaction. And like I said, she's chill. She seems cool. Like, I feel like we could be friends. Tevin says this is not how you make a friendship.
Yeah,
so
right. Like,
I'll follow up. I like her. I'm sorry.
Because
I know
also
her name.
you told her, like, yeah, your dog wakes me up, but you were up already on your way to work. So it's like Brittany's just all put together. Like, yeah, I just woke up out of a deep sleep. Oh, is that why you looked?
I didn't say
this morning?
I didn't say like I have currently woken up from, but at the time when I was leaving, Gogo was still sleeping.
That's true.
But like listen, it's not the end of the world. And I actually really I met her and she was lovely. I have to follow up because I do feel like a monster. And I felt unhinged, Tom, but the call was like the call to the wild to run through the yards was so palpable. Like I had to make the run. I had to go do it.
No, I understand that. Do you think someday you'll back out of your garage and as you put the door down, it'll just say asshole across the garage door?
Maybe.
I hope this starts a feud in the sack.
No, we can't handle it. The pressure of the sack can't handle it. I would be fine. Actually, like the way she responded, I knew that I went into it the right way because I was really nice about it and she was so lovely. I was like, at least I wasn't aggressive, like, which, you know, after you make a little like sprint, you kind of have that like adrenaline going. And I called Justin after and he was like, thank you. And I was like, out of me or him showing up, I was the better choice.
Oh, do you think he'd get too harsh with her?
I think he comes across as harsh. He's not.
Does he really?
Yeah, he's a little bit more cut and dry. Like her and I having a giggle over me lying about my infant, like when I think went well. I thought about this. I think it's a little bit intimidating when a man addresses a situation in general. Like I think I was the right person. Maybe not at 7 a.m., but again, I had to find the house. There was like 3 houses it could have been.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted to make sure before I like went and talked to anybody.
Do you think you were the first neighbor to like go to them? Because if she's like, I know, like maybe the Johnsons got up in her grill too, and like, hey, cut it out.
That's a great question. I know the neighbors next to her really well, and they are not the type to say something. But I don't know if the other ones would because they have a baby as well. I don't know
if she knows. Why let it keep happening? You have control over the situation. Just bring the dog inside.
I don't know, but I do know that I should have just discovered where the house was and maybe approached her during the middle of the day, not like a crazy person. I think that's on me.
I think it's better to talk to her as the dog is actively barking in the background.
Yeah. I don't know. A part of me, I don't even like talking about this because I don't want her to hear this and think there's like anything bad. Because I hate to misrepresent anything when it comes to like how the interaction went. She seems so lovely, Tom. Like this is doable. This is doable. Like she might have an edible arrangement in her future if I was a put together person.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad, but
so she's not getting an edible arrangement. That was
okay. So
empty words.
We'll close with this because we got a guest coming up in a couple of seconds. Why would anyone want to hear their own dog barking all day? That I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think people get used to different things, you know. But yeah, and my dogs, they'll bark and I immediately run out and grab them because they're so annoying. But yeah, we all have a breaking point, and today I broke a little, and that's on me.
No, it's not on you. It's on the dog. The dog's got to shut up.
Right. 100%. And if that dog so happens to bark again, Brittany's coming over.
No, I'm not.
There's going to be problems.
No, there isn't. I know your name. I'm so sorry. I like you. We're going to figure this out.
You have a silencer on it?
Shut. I don't even have shut up.
Whoa.
Thomas.
I don't even have shut up.
Play. I answer the phone for 3 seconds and we're talking about a silencer.
No, we're
What is
not.
Brittany planning to do?
No.
Come on, goodness.
About to handle business is what we're going to do.
Standing out.
Business.
No, there's no
Business.
business.
There's some business. There's no question about it. Are we good to go?
Yes, we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Stan Tatkin. Advice on relationships, marriage, love, intimacy, and mental well-being. Dr. Stan, can I call you Dr. Stan or should I call you Dr. Tatkin?
Yeah, Dr. Tatkin, or just call me Stan. That's fine.
Stan's good. Stan, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Advice on relationships, marriage, love, intimacy. I love all that. But mental well-being right now doesn't seem to be going well in the world because everybody's pissed off about everything and they're mean as hell. What happened, Stan?
Well, I think people get mean when they feel helpless. We get aggressive as human primates. When we feel powerless, helpless, that's when we get aggressive. But it comes out of fear. I think people are afraid.
Yeah.
There's something that was studied after 9/11 called unseen fear. And we're dealing with a lot of unseen fear. It's not like the lion is right in front of us about to eat us. We are aware of anything can happen. A civil war, a global warming, a nuclear war. All of these things are in our heads. We don't see them except maybe on television right now with the wars that exist. And I think that's making everybody very, very edgy, right?
Yes.
But it's because of the existential threats around us.
Yeah, and it's around the world. It's not just the United States. It's everywhere right now. It's pretty amazing.
It's everywhere, yeah.
It is indeed. Dr. Stan Tatkin, developer of psychological approach to couples therapy and best-selling author of In Each Other's Care, along with a relationship must-have book, Wired for Love. More than 1.7 million people have tuned into Dr. Tatkin's TEDx Talk. Dr. Tatkin, it's great to have you on because the holiday season is a very, very stressful season. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, it is. It tends to be. Yeah. It tends to be because that's when we're going to get together with family, and family tends to pull us back in time. And sometimes that's good news. Other times that's not such good news. And so we need to be prepared for this every year and find a way through it that protects, if you're a couple, that protects each other first and foremost, and then considers other people that you're going to be around. And that's what I'd like to pass on to people.
Yeah, that's a great thing. Dr. Stan, I've never asked this question before because I've never thought of it before, but why is it that the stressful time of year, December, is because there are so many holidays around the world and many, many different religions, people of all colors? December is why is December such a big, let's get out there and whether it's Kwanzaa or Hanukkah or Christmas or what, I mean, there are a couple more too. Why did we pick, I suppose December was picked because that's when they thought, for Christians, they thought that's when Jesus was born. Is that correct?
Right. Yes. And All Hallows Eve,
right.
For October, and then Thanksgiving in this country for November. And, blame, I guess, the people that came over on the Plymouth. It's all crammed together, and it's a combination of financial hardship for many. It's having to go and brave the crowds with shopping. Then it has to do with who are we going to leave out this year, who we're going to have to sit next to at dinner, how we're going to have to deal with drunk Uncle Bob. All these things that we have to really prepare for, and really predicting, preparing, and planning ahead is the key to getting through this, not just unscathed, but get through it well.
Yeah, I like your idea. It's like plan ahead. I think that's great advice for everybody. If you know, because you got to know by now that it's coming. So can't you plan ahead and go, well, maybe I could be seated somewhere else, but if I'm not, here's what I'll do when the hunyuk starts running his mouth or whatever. You have to have a plan. Is that what you're saying, Dr. Tatkin?
Yes, you have to. People are predictable, and one of the things that we can do, we're the only species on the planet that we can predict and we can plan and prepare. And yet we don't do that often enough, and yet that's a superpower. So partners, if you're partnered, you imagine you're going to have a great time this season. You're going to have a great time. You're going to high five each other at the end. And now you're going to think about what could possibly interfere with that. What could possibly go wrong, and systematically begin to plot and plan tactically how to take those things off the table one by one and add things that would increase your pleasure during the stressful time, so that you are able to relax together and it's not all performing, not all running around and doing things, right? And so absolutely. That's really a two-person job. That's really a team effort. That's a job for two people. Two people can do much better if they think and work together collaboratively than one person.
Dr. Tatkin, I'm of the age where the family gatherings and the extended family gatherings, let's say it's, Thanksgiving, as you just pointed out. The thing I will remember most about being a little boy at Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever holiday it was, the smoke in the house was so thick you couldn't see 3 feet. Remember when everybody, you might not be old enough to remember this, but everybody used to smoke, and they smoked indoors. It was unbearable, Doctor. It was amazing.
I remember. I'm 69 years old. I was around for that for sure.
Yeah, you were. So you enjoyed it.
I'm sure there was a time that I contributed to it too.
Yeah, me too. You're right. I smoked cigarettes as a teenager, gave it up at 21. But yeah, that's the thing about holidays. I every time a major holiday was coming up, when I knew a lot of people get together, it's like, oh God, it's going to be Smoky Wednesday. Great, wonderful.
Well, that's the air quality, but there's other aspects of the environment that some people find toxic, and that is the relationships that they're going back to that they haven't been in contact with maybe once, maybe several years in between, that they dread, like a high school reunion. We're going back in time, we're being pulled back to that time, and many times it takes a week or two to sort of recover from it, because the environment for some is like a smoky room. Right, it's a difficult to get through, and people can't wait to get out.
Did you have to go through in your life a situation where, because where I grew up and the way we kind of grew up, there's a lot of drinking going on as well, and that certainly did not help. Right,
that is probably the single biggest problem when it comes to substances is alcohol. Alcohol. Is a disinhibitor, but it also, for some people, can trigger anger. And the angry people who get that way when they drink, those are the people that cause many times a lot of mayhem, unfortunately. And so, alcohol is a contributor to a lot of fights.
Oh, there's no question about it. And as a young man, I do remember I'd have my first drink is, hey, great to see everybody. How you doing? Second drink, God, it's really great to see all of you. Third drink, what the hell are you looking at? That's just how it went.
So what are you doing for your holidays?
This year, my wife and I are kind of trying to reset a number of things with the house and all that stuff. So we're not going to be actually even around for Christmas. The kids are coming over the day after Christmas, and then our son's going to come over on January 6th. So actually because I grew up Catholic, which is by itself an interesting religion. I love it, but there are some interesting Catholics out there, Dr. Tatkin, I'll tell you that. But
I'm Jewish. The only thing that's similar to Jews is a Catholic. So,
that's true.
So I understand.
But yeah, it's so Catherine and I'm a very lucky guy, Dr. Tatkin, because I've been together with my wife, Catherine, for 43 years. We've been married on July 7th. It's going to be 40 years. But I think I have to take some credit for the relationship, because I can tell by the look in her eye when it's time to shut up.
Well, she can also read you too, I would hope.
Oh, yeah. She's a wonderful woman. I'm a very, very lucky guy. I hope most people can say that after all that time, for 4 decades and a little beyond that, before we got married, 3 years before we got married. But I understand how lucky I got. I don't know who gave me that gift to be able to see that, but I understand absolutely that, Tom, why don't you just shut up and take a punch? Everything will be good.
I feel the same way about my partner. I think both of us would say we feel very, very fortunate to have found each other. But there is something to be said, maybe even during this time of year, to count your blessings. We tend, the human brain has a feature that's also a bug. We compare and contrast constantly. And we are always aware of what is missing and what we don't have. That's a feature when it comes to hunting and gathering. It's a bug when it comes to happiness. And many of us really don't think about what we're grateful for enough for our own mental health and our own happiness. And I think that is an important thing, an important skill set and a habit to get into. And so, I appreciate what you're saying with your wife. And I also think, boy, you guys really planned something really nice for the holidays. You're not going to be anywhere except at home.
That'll be it. No question about it. I just, I like the fact that you're not only talking about advice on relationships, marriage, and love and intimacy, but also advice on mental well-being. I think it's very, very important right now. It's very stressful now. The holidays should be celebrated and love shown to one another. I just love your whole take on it. By the way, Dr. Tatkin, you're pretty even keel yourself, so it's coming from a good place.
Thank you. I had to learn. Like everybody else, I'm a difficult person. All people are difficult. All people are a pain. All people are disappointing. But I try to never be threatening, and same with my wife, never threatening. And we're good co-pilots. And it sounds like you and your wife are too.
We are indeed. So, because I found out you're a Shiva boy, I can say Happy Hanukkah, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, I was raised by Catholics, so Merry Christmas.
Honest to God, Dr. Tatkin, it's amazing because I grew up in a neighborhood that was Catholic, Jewish, and Black, and I enjoyed it beyond belief. It was wonderful. We all got along. It was great.
That's amazing. Well, you're nice. I like you, Tom.
Not everybody thinks that way, Dr. Tatkin. I'll tell you that. Some people think I got an edge to me, but I would love to have you back anytime, sir. Anytime you want to talk about making people happy, I am more than happy to hear about it.
I would love that too. Have a wonderful holiday.
You too, sir. Dr. Stan Tatkin, ladies and gentlemen. Love the guy. See, you know what? And from his name, you probably would guess he might have been Jewish, but I do remember back when I was a kid going through the neighborhood and getting, from all the different families, the Jews, Blacks, Catholics, all the rest of it, getting advice from other people's parents or grandparents or great stories that you would hear. And the one thing I would say, and I didn't want to say this to him, but one thing about this time of year that got to be very difficult is when I was a little boy, say all the way up to maybe age 11, something like that. You would go to the store and you would always see an older Jewish man or an older Jewish woman that still had the numbers on their arm from World War II. That was a bitch. I will tell you that. Because once you found out why because I would ask, why do you have numbers tattooed on your arm?
Yeah.
Oh God, that's hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Can you even imagine going through all that? And here they are going into Desnick's drugstore and they're in a good mood. They are very well educated from people like that.
Yeah.
No doubt. I thought he was terrific. Didn't you?
Yeah, he was great.
He was light. He had some humor to him, but very informative. You could tell he is passionate about what he talks about.
There is no doubt about it. We got to take a break here because we have another great guest coming. But we are loaded for bear today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Didn't you think?
I think so.
Did you say it's Sona Akale?
I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. Usually I don't say his last name just because it's African and I'm not sure. I don't want to butcher it, but I believe it's Akale.
Well, let me just put it this way. I'm looking at his picture. I wouldn't want to piss him off either.
No, not at all. No.
There's no doubt about it. We shall take a break. Be right back. Another great. I thought Dr. Tatkin was really, really great. Just cheered me up in the holidays. But just keep an eye on this, ladies and gentlemen. Don't smoke in the house and have a couple of drinks and then calm down. How about that?
Yeah. There's a lot. It's a minefield. So just be careful and be nice to each other. I like the idea of teaming up before and talking about it and teaming up after and saying that went well.
But that's a good way to put it. It is a minefield, and understand that it is indeed a minefield.
It is.
We shall be right back. Sona Akale will be our special guest. And once again, let me mention, I would not want to piss him off. We'll be right back and find out if I do or not. That'd be great. We'll be right back.
This is the Tom Barnard Show. Listen live on the Tom Barnard Show app or at tombernardshow.com.
Is that text you're sending so important that you missed your turn? Is that text you're sending so important that you ran the red light? Is that text you're sending so important you didn't see the ball coming onto the road or the child that followed? Hi, I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw and Bryant. When you take your eyes off the road for even 4 seconds, your vehicle travels 100 yards. That's the entire length of a football field. If you absolutely have to text, you need to pull off the road somewhere safe and do it from there. Texting and driving is against the law and can cause serious injury or even death to you and others. Now that is important. We hope you're never injured in a collision, but if you are, please contact us.
Find Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Going farther with Mike Bryant on your side, seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
Recently, Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC was contacted by a company that does on-site sales. Jim was confused.
Wait, they don't know anything about us, our staff, our reputation, most importantly, our customers.
Hey, pal, no problem. We do them all over the country. You know, get the manager off the roof sale, inflatable gorilla sale, and our favorite, the 13-hour sale with a giant clock that goes to 13. Urgency, baby. We bring our crew because, well, your people are, let's just say, a little laid back.
And the pricing?
Nothing special, sport.
But Jim thought we price competitively every day. Our prices are special. We definitely don't need these guys. But sale does convey some urgency, so we made a bold decision for his fine dealerships.
Announcing the Valley Buick GMC 365-day sale. And we can even extend it a couple years or so.
I got the air dancer guy, scratch-offs, plastic keys, bubble machine.
Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley or Hastings or valleycardealers.com. Hurry.
Tom here, and I want to discuss a partnership that has been wonderful in my life, Zero Res Carpet Care. Very good friends of mine. Nothing is better to someone with a family than having a completely clean home. Your carpet is the biggest filter in your house. If you want to talk about pet dander or foot traffic, dirt from the outside, they all eventually reside in your carpet. So, Zero Res Carpet Care. Listen, around the holidays, you need to contact ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZEROREZ. That's 952-ZERO-RES. They clean your home with their electrolyzed pH-elevated water that doesn't use chemicals or soaps that smell like a janitor's closet like other cleaning services. How about a Tom Barnard deal? Well, here it is. Get 3 rooms, zero resified, starting at $129, and don't forget your air ducts. Mention me, and they'll discount your air vents by $75 too. This is for the entire month, so call them right now, 952-0-RES, backward or forwarded, spells the same, or book online, ZeroResMinnesota.com. If it's available, ask for them to come to your place in the Tom Barnard named service truck. What an honor that was, by the way. Just mention me by name and get the special deal to get your home clean and your heart happy. Zero Res Carpet. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Just let me know when Mr. Akale is ready to go, and we'll get it cooking.
Yeah, he and Tevin are troubleshooting a little problems for StreamYard. He's getting into the room here any moment, so we'll bring him on when he does come on. But for the time being, we're just gonna kind of hang out and shoot the breeze.
Party.
We're gonna schmooze.
Yeah.
Let's badmouth him until he's actually on, because we won't be able to if he can hear us.
Nope, I'm not doing that.
I bet he punches so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at his picture. It kind of looks like it. Is he from the area? Is he from St. Paul, or is he just fighting there?
He's from I believe Minneapolis.
Oh, he's from Minneapolis. Okay. So just did we get it worked out, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm sending him it again to hopefully get this all sorted out, but he should be on in just a second.
Well, if he's from Minneapolis, he could just run over to the studio.
Yeah, come on.
Come on, son.
Probably on his morning Rocky jog. He's got the,
Yeah,
swing on by.
He's in a meat locker punching sides of beef.
That's what Rocky did, right? That's what Rocky did, I believe, was it Rocky 2 or Rocky 1? There was one of them. I know that. Rocky was a damn good movie looking at it. No question about that. But Sona, our guest to be on just a couple of seconds from now, hopefully, is a boxer and musical artist. He's from musical artist, too, from Minnesota, coming off his latest victory in the ring against Nico Ali-Walsh, grandson of Muhammad Ali. Sona has proved that the spotlight is never too big as he takes his 8-1 record up against Trey Martin on December 9th, just 2 days from now. Sona enters the ring laser focused on victory. It's going to be interesting to talk to him about where it is that he did grow up, how he got into. I mean, obviously the man's worked his ass off. You look at, he's standing in the ring, so he's just got his boxing shorts on.
Yeah.
And you can tell the fella's in pretty good shape, I'd say.
Oh my God. That's a guy where it's like you bump into him and you apologize even if it wasn't your fault.
100%.
Yeah.
Even if he bumps into you. Oh, exactly. I'm sorry that you bumped into me.
I'm sorry that you're bad at walking. Or wait, I'm the one who wanted to fight a cougar, and I still don't want to fight Sona.
I was gonna say he looks like he actually might be able to fight a cougar.
Yeah, he could. I think you're absolutely right about that. Nothing yet.
Not quite yet, unfortunately.
Okay, we can, because we got the guest coming up at 40 as well. Yeah, we can just wait him out as long as it takes. So it's just a bad connection. Is that all it is?
Yeah, it sounds like he's having some issues accessing like the actual invite. So
yeah, there's something wrong with his email, so I sent him the link another way. It looks like he's got it open and should be hopefully logging on right now.
Beautiful.
Okay, I'm gonna when he does get on, the first thing I'm gonna say is, I hate to tell you this up front, Sona, but one of the people on the show said the reason you're late is because you've been hit in the head so many times, and I tried to argue with him.
What is wrong with you? You are chaos today.
He's gonna jump through the screen and strangle us.
Yeah, you are pure chaos.
I am not chaos. I'm even keel as can be.
You want
just pointing out the obvious.
You want to get us all shook up.
Oh, well, yeah, we got. That's unfortunate. Okay, why don't we do this?
Yeah,
and then we'll just go through it because even if he jumps on, he can jump in as well.
Yeah.
When you're growing up, it's easy to think that everything your family does is normal. So when you go to a friend's house, you might be in for a bit of a shock. That's interesting because I've mentioned to you guys many times that when I went to someone else's house that wasn't Catholic, like say they were Jewish or black or whatever, I paid attention to the house rules. Yeah. And I guess most children didn't do that. I don't know why I learned that, maybe trying to fit in or whatever the hell it was, but I always paid attention to what their rules were and went with that. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do people do that, or do they still not do that?
I think it's one of those things where you just because you notice it doesn't mean you're not going to follow it. But there are times that stick out in your mind where you're like, this is a weird rule, or this is different from my house. I still remember a vivid time where I had a string cheese that was, that smoked cream or string cheese.
Sure. Yep.
And I thought that was why would anyone want to eat smoke? I remember them handing me a string cheese and I'd pretend to eat it. And I was like, this is terrible. I love my mom so much more than I have ever in my life.
Well, your mother's terrific and wonderful and far too good for you, I should point out.
Couldn't agree more. And she's coming home tomorrow.
Oh, is she really coming home for Christmas?
Yeah, Beverly. She's going to stay until New Year's Day. So I'm very excited.
No, that'd be wonderful. Tell her I said hello.
I won't. I'm sick of your guys' friendship.
I won't, because you like my mother. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's great advice. No question.
Got a little too close is what you're saying.
That's a problem. It's a problem. I don't like how they've been scheming against me.
That's a possibility. People on social media are talking about the bizarre house rules they experienced when staying at someone else's home when they were a kid. Someone said they had to take a bath at a friend's house. No, sorry, that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
Wait, they had to take what?
Exactly.
No, call the authorities.
Yeah,
immediately.
Well, I like it. Yeah, they had to take a bath at a friend's house, where they reused the bath. They reused the bath water. No.
Okay. Everything. This is getting worse by the second.
Yeah. No.
See, I'd fit right in by going, oh, you know what? I forgot something at my house. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I gotta go grab something and then dead sprint to my house.
By the way, they did that to conserve money or water. There were 5 kids, so 6 kids took a bath in the same water.
Yeah.
I think AJ's gonna vomit.
That's just disgusting.
How much are you praying your kid 1 or 2?
Oh God, yes. The person said they used the water. They had already been used once or more, and they're still bothered by it. Yeah, once or more, 5 times more. Number 2, the internet had to be off by 8 p.m. because all the good websites shut off, and the only websites left were bad and naughty. How did they come up with that argument?
I thought it was a lie that went rogue. It's like when you tell your kid the park is closed. Oh, I'd love to go to the park, but it's closed today.
Oh, Tom.
I love that.
Okay.
Sona.
Okay.
Hey, what up? What up? What up? What's going on? Am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
All right, good stuff. What's going on, you guys?
I just basically we were discussing the situation. No, first of all, you grew up in Minneapolis?
Yep, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Originally from Cameroon, Africa.
Okay, and where in Minneapolis did you grow up?
I was over there on Glenwood Lindale. Well, I grew up in St. Paul, but I was going to school. My dad was boss of Glenwood Lindale Community Center. I was born. Yeah. So Glenwood Lindale's Community Center was connected to KMOJ back at the time. Yep. And my dad was boss of the Glenwood Lindale Community Center. So I was always on Glenwood and Lindale in Minneapolis. So right after school in St. Paul, I would ride the bus to Glenwood Lindale and be at the community center all day. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I Minnesota knows me. I'm all around Minnesota.
Well, you and I went through the same childhood then, because yours would sound like the teen or the early 20 years, but that's where I grew up. So that's why I asked you, because I to this day love that neighborhood, and I always will.
Yep. Do you remember the Glenwood Lindale Community Center?
I do, absolutely.
Okay. Yes. You remember a guy? You know a guy named Kristyn Akale?
Yes, that's your father.
That's my dad.
Oh my God! Now I know who. That's why. What's interesting about that is I could pronounce your last name correctly because of him. But I didn't know.
Yep. I heard it. I was like, I thought Tev just told you. I was like, what? That's wild. Yeah. See,
God bless you.
We connected, man.
It's wonderful. Well, all tough guys are connected.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Great minds, man. Great minds.
So how'd you get in the business?
Okay, so man, I've always been a fighter. I've always been a guy that was fighting. I was always in the gym. I was always working with other pros as well, getting them ready for their fights. I was always sparring with them, getting ready for their fights in camp. And I'll be their main sparring partners. I started with a guy named Ishmael Mwendo, and he's from Uganda. But he was by the time I started working with him, he was working with Scott Tolzman, and he was 15-0.
Ooh.
And this is a guy that had sparred, that was Terrence Crawford's main sparring partner in his camps. And we all know Terrence Crawford. That's the biggest man in boxing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's one of they try to say he the greatest of all time. So. I was getting ready. I was sparring with Ishmael, getting ready for his pre-camps to go work with Terrence Crawford. Then I went from there, and one day his manager and coach, Scott Tolzman, was like, hey, man, it was one day we were done sparring, and he was like, man, you got a professional style. What do you think about, trying out a professional fight? I was like, yeah, cool. I don't mind. He showed me the check. Then I was like, okay, let's do it.
Okay.
And that first one, yeah, you already know that. I was like, oh, I seen it. I was like, oh yeah, I do it. And then my first fight was at the Myth, and it was under Feel the Drill's undercard. And it was a pack house, great event. I ended up stopping the guy, you know what I mean? In the second or third round, I ended up stopping him. And then right after that, man, the rest is history. I got with Q Promotions. He was actually there at the fight. And he goes to Element Gym. Element's my home gym. After that, the rest is history. We started working. I'm working in the gym every day, full-time boxer. My most recent iconic fight, of course, is the win against Muhammed Ali's grandson.
Yeah,
undefeated prospect Nico Ali-Walsh, and then that's what we were waiting for. We were waiting for that opportunity. I took it and made the best of it. And yep. Now we fight. Now we here again, and we fight on December 9th.
Sona, what was that like? Because that fight was on ESPN.
Yep.
So you're spotlight
Worldwide.
shining bright. Yeah, worldwide fight. You got obviously, boxing immortality, arguably the greatest boxer to ever put on some gloves in Muhammad Ali, and then now you're his grandson. So there's more excitement around that. What was it like getting ready for that fight, and then stepping into the ring on the big day?
Man, to be honest with you, getting ready for the fight, the camp was a good camp, man. I mean, it was an easier camp. They were just kind of easy on me because I only had 3 weeks to get ready, and I didn't have to cut weight because I had to move up weight classes to fight him. But it was such a big opportunity that, no boxer is going to pass that up. You know what I mean? Because it's such a big opportunity. He's a big name. He Tulsa City, Oklahoma, Hard Rock Casino and Resort, live. Tons of stars there. Even Flavor Flav was up in there. I got to, yeah, Flavor Flav was up in there. He was Flavor Flav. He was doing it all. I was like, damn, Flavor Flav is really like he is on TV in real life. This guy's a real character, But yeah, man, I was able to pull off the upset. The betting odds against me in Vegas were 100. If you bet 100 on me, you win 1,600. On DraftKings, it was you bet 100 on me, you win 1,200. That's how low the odds was that I was gonna win. Yeah, man. So after, you already know, as soon as I got to the because it's a big campus. So after the fight, I'm walking around and I'm meeting everybody, and man, everybody was getting me just drunk. They were like, "You won me so much money. What do you drink? What do you drink?" I was lit. I don't even remember that night, man. That night was crazy. That night was crazy, yeah. But it was definitely something special, man. Definitely.
God, did you? I mean, you're too young to have followed it in time, but have you studied Muhammad Ali in your life?
Oh yeah, you know that.
I knew that.
You know that. Everybody studied Muhammad, man. You know what I mean? And that was the iconic thing about it, because he's such a polarizing character and figure. I mean, Will Smith, you type it, there's nothing that beat Muhammad Ali. You know that. So anything connected with his name, you got to be in boxing. You got to be a part of, and that's probably why we're here today. So
yeah, it could be. Well, I'll tell you, one of the greatest lines ever delivered. By the way, I wanted to mention before I quote him, he not only was a phenomenal athlete, he was brilliant. He was a very smart man.
Yes, bro. He was so quick with it. They never tested. I don't know if they tested his IQ, but that man was definitely something different, something special. You know what I mean? Every time we see him, we always know Muhammad Ali comes off the top with the best. He could have been a rapper. I don't know. The guy is talented. I swear. He's quick-witted as well, man.
I actually was lucky enough to record a song because I used to do an impression of Muhammad Ali all the time. And there's a song.
Oh, yeah. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Don't be shy.
Let me ask you a question. I got to ask you one question. So, I was on a Dick Cavett show, and he said to me,
"Oh, wow."
I broke my jaw, and I said, Dick Cavett says to me, if he had hit me that hard, he'd have knocked me out. And I said back to him, if he'd hit you that hard, your beneficiaries would still be collected.
Yo, I did not expect that shit. Yo, that's good. That's good.
I love it.
They should have casted you instead of Will Smith with the music, man. That's pretty good. That was good.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say. But
that's good. I did not expect that.
He turned boxing around, and there were great boxers before him, no question about it. But he changed boxing forever, don't you think?
Yeah. You know that, man. I mean, his character, he really brought the marketing to it. You know what I mean? He really brought the aspect of entertainment, to this whole boxing thing. I think he's one of those pioneers of that. And he's the one who started it. And now people are still, even when guys get into boxing and don't know Muhammad Ali as well, them trying to sell the fight and make and do that's all from Muhammad Ali. They don't even know where it stems from. He created a whole trend in boxing that still lasts to this day. So anybody that changes the sport, and then everybody has to mimic the same blueprint because it was so successful, they probably wanted to go.
Now I have to ask you a question because I think, and this is a reference back to your father, Channel 2 did a special on Highway 55 from Glenwood all the way to Penn Avenue, and they went to all the places like the Summit House and all that stuff that's over there.
Yeah,
and didn't your father appear in that show?
Yeah, my father was on 2 shows actually. He was on. Remember KMOJ? KMOJ was connected to Glenwood-Lindale Community Center, and so he had on Thursdays he had the African Panorama show, where he was every Thursday. He would talk about just things in Africa. You know what I mean? Right. And then he was also on. Yeah, he was on a lot of shows though. He was on a lot of different things. You know, like every little. You know, there's a lot of community organized events that go on at Glenville-Lindale Community Center, and sometimes they'd be publicized or they would be broadcasted. And then they would always be asking him questions. I would always be there. They would ask him questions, and he would, you know, answer accordingly to Glenville-Lindale Community Center. You know, it's interesting, Sona, is that I'm finding out on this show that I know everybody in the world. I didn't even know that. Everybody comes on and says, "Oh yeah, I know your cousin. I know this. I know your father." Yeah. I know everybody. I didn't even know I knew everybody. But I guess you know everybody, man. You even know how to talk like Muhammed Ali. I mean, if you literally call one of his daughters or something like that, they're gonna break down in tears, like, "Yo, a ghost called me." It's for real. When I heard it, I was waiting. I'm like, "Oh, okay. Let's hear how close it sounds." And then I started hearing. I'm like, "Damn, this is a real interview. This is a real." You know what I mean? It sounds just like Muhammad Ali in the interview. That song, "King of the World," that I did with Ricky. Was a bestseller around the world. Matter of fact, you can probably bring it up, AJ. It's available everywhere. It did very, very well. It's about he was still alive when I did it. I know that. Oh, but really? He was Muhammad Ali was a huge inspiration to me because I grew up in North Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. He was a guy, tough but smart. And I went, wait a minute. This is a combination of tough and smart? Yeah, yup. You would think you would think like most people are like, "Oh, tough guy, ooga, he's in it, this is that." No, but it's like when you hear Muhammad Ali, you get toughness, you get elegance, you get confidence, you get everything rolled into one. Yep. So I think people thought that was captivating because it showed that you could be both. I mean, he was the first person that really like showed me like you can be an intellectual and smart and still be funny and still be tough. And still beat guys, you know what I mean? Beat guys up, man. It's crazy. Yeah. He definitely one of the pioneers of that as well. I mean, what didn't he pioneer when it comes to this boxing thing, for real? That's very true. Tevin, I did not even know that you were a boxing fan.
I'm not really a boxing fan, but I'm a Sona fan. And so
you see? I like that.
I worked at the House of Comedy and one of our, shockingly enough, door guy security types that the club. And one day I pulled up my Instagram and I see him, you know, about to fight somebody. And so I started following boxing a little bit. And then obviously he had his big fight against Ali, Nico Ali-Walsh there. And so yeah, you
already know.
But apparently I don't wear shirts in interviews no more.
No. We done with that. I'm cutting weight now. I'm interviewing, doing a lot of media. So I gave up on all of it.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Look, I like fucking. Let's do it.
I appreciate it. It is annoying that you are popping on our screen on my 5-year anniversary. So I'm gonna have to just say you're a fine looking gentleman, sir.
Oh, thank you. I try. You know, I work hard for this, you guys. Come on.
Brittany was about to pass out when this was.
I'll take my shirt off and eat it out.
Go ahead, everybody should do the podcast with their shirts off. Yes, let's do it. Yeah. Okay, Brittany goes first.
I'm down. All right. Justin, I'm gonna be late for dinner.
So one of the great things for me today, experiences, finding out that, and probably you ask your father, "Hey, I was on with Tom Barnard today." You go, "Who?" He might not even know who I am, but I've known him for a long time. He got a good memory of people. Yeah, no, he does. He does. There's no doubt about it. But it's just to talk about the Muhammad Ali era, which I was way over the top watching him. I love boxing. Been a lot of great boxers came. I don't know that people understand how many really good to great boxers came out of Minnesota. A lot of them did. Yeah, a lot of them did, man. I even sparred with some. So, Jamal James. I was his main sparring partner in his last camp, along with Sean Owens. So I was sparring them both at the same time, getting them ready for their fights at the Armory. And that's a former world champ. Then I was Caleb Turek's main sparring partner for one of his fights. He's a former world champ. And then, also Leo Modell, another undefeated fighter from Minnesota. Also good. He's going to be fighting on the card December 9th. We also got Sean Owens. He's ranked like number 7 in the world at 140. At 140, I'm also his sparring partner, so yeah, man, we got a lot of talent coming out the cities.
No doubt about it. Did you track it down, AJ?
Yeah, I think I've got it right here.
I just want to play a little bit. This
Bad man. I'm the king of the world.
That's Tommy.
I'm pretty.
Wait,
This is
That's me. You didn't know that?
You?
oh, that's you.
Oh my gosh!
I'm the king of the world. I'm pretty. I'm a bad man.
I wrote all the lyrics.
What?
That is so
Wild.
good.
Where's that? That's on YouTube.
I found that on audioboom.com.
Oh wow, that's
You
a
didn't know
dope
that was
bag,
you?
man.
That song was a hit.
Hell no, I didn't know that was. You could have told me that was actually Muhammad Ali that they got.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it sure did. Because Muhammad Ali had a song.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he did. Yes,
I
absolutely.
thought that was it. I thought, oh, they playing the Muhammad Ali song.
Yeah, here's
No, we
the
had-
beginning of it one more time where there's a little more talking.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on a sec here.
That's wow.
I'm the king of the world.
That's
I'm
Tommy.
pretty. I'm pretty.
That's an
That is
impeccable impression.
That is
Yes, wow. That's good, man.
Well, even
That's
as,
good.
even as a honky, I thought I was Muhammad Ali when I was a little kid.
Bro, you did your thing, man. Hey, that's how captivating he was. He can
He
make
was.
anybody believe. You know what I mean? That's
Yep.
how captivating he was, man. I don't blame you, but that was good. That's a good impression, bro. I thought that was the song. Muhammad Ali actually has a song.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so when I heard, I'm like, oh, okay, they playing the song, but that's you.
That is me. No doubt.
Man,
about
they're
it.
gonna get you, man. You better be careful. AI is gonna grab you for voiceovers. They're gonna grab you for voiceovers, man. And then Muhammad Ali's family is gonna try to sue you. So you gotta be careful. Get your lawyers ready. Get everybody ready.
Yeah, I don't need that. No doubt about it. Next time you got to come in studio, Sona. All right.
Oh, definitely. You know that. Just let me know. I'll be there. Let me know.
You are, Sona. You show up any way you'd like to the studio.
Oh yeah. Don't worry. No shirt on. That's mandatory.
If you show up no tarps on, I'm going no tarps on.
Justin will probably also be here just to keep an eye on.
Yeah, just so we can all see Sona.
You made
Good
our
stuff,
day.
y'all.
You made
Wow.
our day, Mr. Akale. You made our day, and please do come back soon, sir. Good luck.
Always. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you guys, man. December 9th, Element. Come through. You guys come out. It'll be lovely to see you guys there in person. And then, let's get this fight on. Let's get this win.
Works for me. Come back soon, Pally.
Let's do it. Thank you. All
Sona
right.
Akale, December 9th at Element Boxing in St. Paul. God, what a nice man. How long have you known him, Tevin?
Probably close to 9 years now, kind of from
really?
a distance. Yeah,
That
from a distance.
was-
But yeah, I saw he had a fight coming up. Well, you want to promote it? And I did not expect shirtless.
If I wasn't awake, that woke me up when he popped on the screen. I was like,
Yeah.
this is the finest man I've ever seen in my life, just casually shirtless on our StreamYard right now. What?
So you thought he was in pretty good shape? Is that what you're saying?
I think he may have lifted a weight or two in his day.
All I know is that Judd, Phil, and Chris Egert got to step up their game.
They
next time.
really do.
Yeah.
And I'm not like
exactly.
but it was just so handsome and he was positive and lovely. Like,
It all works out in the end. I got to say one more thing about King of the World. There's part 1 and part 2, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And when Ricky went on the world tour to, talk about the song and all the rest of it, he went to Japan because it was a big hit in Japan, I guess. So he's over there doing interviews in Japan. And he said, so I'm interviewing him on the queue. And I said, so how's it going? He goes, oh, things are going great. He said, I embarrassed myself and I didn't mean to. I said, what do you mean? He said, and I wouldn't tell the story, but he already said it on the air. So it's been out there for years and years because he didn't mean anything by it. It was just, he was tired. He said, I just landed. I was tired as hell. The flight from Minneapolis to Japan, what is that, about 14 hours or something?
I'm sure
Last
it's
time
insane.
I flew, about that.
Yeah, was that?
About 14 hours last time he went to Japan.
Yep.
He sits down and the interview's in English, obviously, because he doesn't know how to speak Japanese.
Yeah.
He sits down. The first question is, how do you find Japan? In other words, how do you like Japan? And he said, well, I really like it. I got to be honest, though. I kind of surprised by the weather because I got off the plane and there was a little nip in the air. And as soon as he said it, because Nippon, remember, They shortened that to nip during World War II. It was a very derogatory thing to say to Japanese people. I didn't know that. It's like, oh my God. I didn't mean that, because people say there's a nip in the air here all the time.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Poor
Such a
guy.
great
That's a
guy.
rough one.
Yeah.
It's hard to come from back from an interview when that happens.
Oh,
I'll
no
just show
question.
myself out kind of vibe.
No question about it. You know what? I've had so much fun this morning talking to all these great guests. A lot of great guests this morning, no doubt about that, and more to come. But did we do our break already? Do we have to go to break and then bring in Amy?
We'll break and then bring Amy in.
I get so distracted just by, you can always tell when I don't know what the hell's going on. I just had a really good time.
Yeah. I mean, I think
What it is.
Sona's abs has us all a little distracted.
Oh, here
Am
we
I
go.
right?
All right, let me show you.
You're right.
All right,
Yeah,
fine.
I'm going to the gym immediately after the show.
Same. Let's hope that he's there.
I'm gonna go cry in the dark.
We shall be right back. Amy Seeman will join us right after this.
This is the Tom Barnard Show. Listen live at TomBarnardShow.com or on the Tom Barnard Show app.
You need to know a guy for your auto repairs, legal issues, banking, and more. The same goes for investment advice. You need a guy to help you be successful, someone you can trust who gets results. Well, I got a guy for you, Josh Arnold. Josh gives you straight talk, not sugar-coated advice about your financial situation. Josh has seen it all when it comes to economic and market conditions, and Josh can make sure that your retirement objectives match your investments. Do yourself a favor and call Josh now for a no-obligation 48-minute evaluation. You've got nothing to lose, and you'll get a different point of view for your investments. Call Josh at 952-925-5608. That is 952-925-5608. You'll be glad that you did, and tell him his guy, Tom, sent you.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice. Tom Barnard is a paid endorser.
Is that text you're sending so important that you missed your turn? Is that text you're sending so important that you ran the red light? Is that text you're sending so important you didn't see the ball coming onto the road or the child that followed? Hi, I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw & Bryant. When you take your eyes off the road for even 4 seconds, your vehicle travels 100 yards. That's the entire length of a football field. If you absolutely have to text, you need to pull off the road somewhere safe and do it from there. Texting and driving is against the law and can cause serious injury or even death to you and others. Now that is important. We hope you're never injured in a collision, but if you are, please contact us.
Find Bradshaw & Bryant, personal injury attorneys at MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com.
Going farther with Mike Bryant on your side, seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
You know the song Kokomo? It's supposed to be off the Florida Keys, right? Hate to break your Beach Boys bubble, but that's a fictitious place they made up for the song. Fortunately for the rest of us, the Florida Keys island chain are as real as the taxes you have to pay in Minnesota if you're a resident. Now that's a reason to move south. In addition to Florida and all of Monroe County being beautiful, the Keys from Key Largo to Key West are even more beautiful. This is Tom Barnard, part-time Florida resident myself. And if you want a second house or a new retirement home or want to become a Floridian, may I suggest you contact Matt Carlson from One Key West Realty. Matt grew up in Litchfield. He's a super real estate agent when it comes to finding your tropical island space in the Keys. He lives there and here, and Matt knows what's best in Key West to buy for your second home in Florida. Matt teamed up with fellow Minnesotan from Sartell and Alexandria, Kristyn Eklund, who's one of the top mortgage brokers in the country from Coast to Coast Mortgage. She'll get you the financing you need to buy a home in Florida or in Minnesota. Matt's part of the Lake Sotheby's International Realty Group here in Minnesota, and Kristyn, his mortgage colleague, lives and works in the Keys, so they both know the Florida Keys' new and existing homes for sale and are Minnesotan through and through. Contact them by heading to onekeywest.com. That's onekeywest.com. Uh-oh, there's trouble. There's two troubles.
Yeah, a lot of trouble.
I suddenly feel very overdressed for this after what I walked into.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that myself. Amy Seeman with us, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Galfan joins us, of course. Also, Andy jumps in for that third hour. So let's talk about the 12 moms of Christmas. How's it going?
It's going amazing. And this is going to be quite the vibe shift here from all the laughter.
No, it's going amazing. And I'm excited to be back and share some really incredible updates since I was on last. So one being Shields, which is a community staple store. They have a little something for everyone.
Yep.
After the show, in the past, they've always donated to my 2 cars. And there was a change in my point of contact. And I reached out. And they decided this year they're going to do a $1,000 gift card for all 12 moms.
Wow.
I was in the middle of the mall shopping and I stopped out of my tracks and I just started bawling. And people are walking by and I'm like, I don't care. They're happy tears. They're happy tears. I'm so happy. If you see me out and about right now, I look very deranged. But think about it. It's not just the amount of money, it's the fact that like that empowerment that these women are going to feel to be able to take their kids shopping.
Yeah.
Right. Like just that gift, being able to give that to their kids and feel like they have that control. That's pretty incredible. So that was huge. Another big update. So financially, I have raised over $7,000 and that is just in cash that I get to give my moms. Because I've raised I've collected so many donations and toys and gifts and goods that I get to give them. I'm giving them each $3,000. And then I'm sharing some with some of the other influencers who haven't quite raised as much just because all these moms need. There's never enough money, right? There's never enough money for what they need. And so I'm sharing it. But that's like 3 months of rent for these moms.
That's insane.
And then to not also have to buy any Christmas gifts and to have some extra money to go shopping, to have some gas gift cards, like that can be the thing that really changes their course going into the new year.
Yeah, no question about it. Gelfand, you know more about Christmas than they. Oh, wait a minute.
What are you insinuating?
Happy Hanukkah, Mikey. It's Hanukkah.
That's right, it's Hanukkah. Yeah, I'm not gonna light the candles this year because typically my cat tries to set the house on fire.
Yep. Yes.
And you know these classic menorahs that I know that my parents had, they were plain. Today, you know, you've got neon lights and all this stuff. But the thing about the classic Hanukkah menorahs was that the candles, you'd get these bright candles. I don't know where you'd get them, but you'd get them, and they would never fit. So they get to like half burned and then they just fall out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's an anti-Semitic plot.
Oh, it's a plot against the Jews.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
They're sabotaging your candles.
Yeah,
Crappy menorah people are.
You can't trust them.
It is, ladies and gentlemen, Hanukkah, Christmas coming up, Kwanzaa coming up. So do you think, and I'm asking everybody on the show, but particularly Andy, Amy, and Gelfand, do you think the people can be happy in December now? They've been so damn crabby now for about 2 straight years. Can we, it's the holiday season for almost everybody. Can we be in a better mood? What do you think?
Well, the only thing I'd say about it is that the holiday season can be wonderful for some people, but it can be really terrible for others because you know, if they don't have much going on and they're lonely and maybe, you know, I know 3 people who lost loved ones about exactly a year ago, right? Or in one case, a couple weeks ago, you know, and so it just kind of compounds the grief, I think. So if you don't, you know, but I think as time goes on, people get into the holiday spirit anyway. So I think mostly there's things to do, you know, and if you're lucky, you've got family around. So I think most people are going to be happier, but you know, you can kind of see the other way too. Talk about the mothers who can't take their kids shopping, you know.
Yeah.
So I guess it. You know, my own conclusion was I think you just have to try to be a little more charitable.
I think there's also this pressure of like, I should be happy during this time, you know, and then I think that also adds on to some mental health issues or just the grief.
Yes.
So I think that's really difficult for a lot as well. I've also found in conversation, a lot of people are not decorating this year. And I don't know. I think there's a burnout. I think we're still in that burnout phase where it just feels too overwhelming to pull out all the decorations, to go get the tree. I mean, I've just talked to some people like, I'm not even putting a tree up this year.
Yeah, I was almost like I thought about not putting up my creche this year.
Your what?
Creche.
It's creche.
No,
you don't know creche?
No.
It's like a nativity scene.
Oh, okay.
Therefore, I'm being ironic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Every
year I threaten to have like a 15-foot high crash.
I was going to play Baby Jesus one year and it didn't work out for me. I didn't make the cut.
So I grew up in a small town in Indiana, and we had what they called the Holy Walk every year. So one of the families in town, they had a lot of land, and they would do the whole like nativity scene with live characters. And one year I was in high school, and I was asked to play a Virgin Mary, and my boyfriend was Joseph, and one of my girlfriends came, and she stood in the back and she yelled, "Virgin my ass!"
That's an unfortunate.
I love that.
Unfortunate
Mom, if
choice
you're
of
listening,
words,
I'm
isn't
sorry.
The holiday season, no question about it. But everybody seems in the studio. Everybody's in.
Yeah,
It's all right.
I
Just
was only gonna
trample
say-
me. That's fine.
I'm
I'm
sorry,
used to it by now.
I was just gonna say that, and the Minnesota Gophers are in a bowl game, so it's another reason.
Yeah. What is it? Pinstripe again, or what is it?
Oh no, it's not even that prestigious.
Oh no, it's
What-
the bottom of the bottom.
What was it called? I can't remember. It has some weird name.
I don't even think they
It's-
bothered to name it. They
it's
just
the-
said generic bowl game.
Quick
Here you
Lane
go.
Bowl.
Quick Lane Bowl.
The Quick Lane
What?
Bowl.
Yep.
Never heard of it. I don't know what it is.
Quick Lane, I think is it's like they sell tires mostly, right?
Their logo is a football going through a tire, so that would make sense.
Yes.
Hey, the payout's $2 million, so I'd do it. It's just me versus the Gophers.
And Amy, do you know where the bowl game is? This is
I
a bowl.
do. Yes, I
Where-
actually.
where?
My husband's family is a long line of referees, so
Oh.
football is big in our home.
Detroit, really?
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, just
So
Detroit.
the game is in
December
Detroit.
26th, so they get to spend Christmas in Detroit.
Yes, they do.
What a thrill that is! But okay, let's get back to because Amy, I met you about a year and a half ago, something like that,
Yeah.
and it was. I'll never forget that because it made everybody feel so good. I felt great. You did. It was a wonderful moment. We need a lot more of those these days.
Yes, we do. Yeah, it has been really wonderful. I did have a bit of a mental breakdown one day. Just I kind of kept saying, I can take the stress of these moms, so that they don't have to have it. And then all of a sudden, physically, I was like waking up with migraines. I was having night sweats because that's how stress manifests in my body. And I realized I am absorbing their emotional labor on top of the emotional labor of just being a mom in the holidays. And it came kind of crashing down. So I took a day to just sort of regroup. And then I was ready to go again. And so I will say on the 13th day, I'm going to rest. So we give the cars on the 12th. And on the 13th, I cleared my calendar and I'm going to rest. But I'm so proud of what I've been able to do for these families and what this community has done. And I think part of, I know what Tommy said, please don't refer to me as an influencer at one point. And I had that word kind of gives me a little bit of ick at times too. But I think about it in the way that I have this platform and me showing up as my most authentic self has built this community of people who want to be in my orbit. And I love that. And these people are good people and they're willing to do whatever they can to help. And that's what makes me so proud to be able to say I'm an influencer is I'm using my influence for good and really am making a huge, huge difference this year in these lives. And I'm proud. I cry about every day. I went to Target. There were some last minute needs that I thought of for the moms. And so I created a Target list. And I said, if anyone wants to order these, have it for pickup at the Maple Grove Target and I'll run in and get it. Within a day and a half, my entire list was checked off. I got there to pick up and all of a sudden I get to my car and there's not room to put everything in my car. Oh. And I just start crying in the parking lot. And I'm like, I am very emotionally unstable right now.
Same.
But I'm just like, what a beautiful moment. So much goodness that I couldn't even fit it in my car. And then Brittany helped me get on with Lori and Julia. I've been on their show before as well. And after that, I got in my car and I had a DM from a woman right away who said, sent me a long message. So she was in a similar situation years ago. She was in a very toxic, abusive marriage for 10 years. She was a stay-at-home mom of 4 kids. And she's like, this made me stop, pull over to the side of the road. I had to reach out to you because she's like, I know what this is like. I know how it is to have to navigate the justice system, how to get back into the workforce again, how to figure out how you're going to provide for your kids without depending on your husband. And so she said, what can I do? She said, financially, I have nothing I can really offer, but what can I do? And I thought, you know what? If you could write a letter to each of these moms, if you're willing to like share your story and offer up your number or an email or whatever, so that they have somebody who's gone through it before that they can talk to. Turns out she has a degree in psychology. And so she's like, she's like, I've been wanting to do more. And this just like spoke to me. And she's like, I wish I had someone like you when I was going through this. And that just like made me realize like, oh my gosh, like next year, like what can I do? Like, more, like who else can I help? But I think even something as simple as that of like offering up a listening ear, if you've been through it before, like that's something that they need.
Yeah, because you can't always give money. Like there's people, there's situations, and when you feel, and I think Amy, you have to say, like I appreciate you reaching out to your resources, and I'm lucky to be one of them because like this time of year, Tom, you know this, like my mom struggled, and it's like we were talking about it with somebody is like, this is a minefield. Like the holidays are a minefield. And if somebody gives you a chance to do direct good like this, it just feels so good. So I have to say thank you for everything you do, and like keep reaching out and keep talking to your network. Cause like, that's what it feels out of the holidays. Like this is the time where I go, gosh, I did a lot of shitty things, but like being able to like help you with your cause is actually one nice thing I've done this year.
And it's been amazing. It's amazing to just give the platform and the space. I mean, I have people again who, financially, I understand not everyone can contribute. There's been so many other ways. Some people are like, I'm going to go advocate on your behalf. So they're reaching out to their network, to different mom groups, to different businesses that they worked with to help kind of get donations. Some of my neighbor friends just offered to help wrap the gifts. And so I was dropping off the gifts for them to wrap. So there's just a lot of amazing ways that people have come together right now. And it does, like you said, it's like at the end of the year, this is just something, it's heavy and it's sad, but it's also joyful at the same time. Hence why my emotions are like,
well, I mean, look, I love the fact that you burst into tears because it reminded me of a woman on a date with Gelfand.
Who also needs our help.
Yes. And once we started crying, that was two of us.
He had to do it. He had to throw it in there. Now, I hope that everybody pays attention and realizes the great benefit for you. Let's say, you only cared about your own feelings and you did this for just because it made you feel better. It will make you feel better. There's no question. It's wonderful to help other people, particularly people who really need the help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And we were lucky, Tom, too. Like after she was on, we had so many listeners reach out and figuring out how they want to help and whatever. And like, I just love to be a part of a community that we joke around and argue about who loves Taylor Swift more. But like at the end of the day, when listeners, like what really matters, we show up and like our listeners show up. And, I think that that's something to be said that like, I'm very proud to be a part of this community that we've made.
Did you know you have an unofficial Tom Barnard Facebook page?
No.
There's like a fan page.
Yeah, it's run by Joe from Louisville.
Yeah, so Joe sent an email to Brittany from last and then forwarded it to me. And he's like, why don't you join the group? And then you can just post there and blast it. And then from doing that, some people have reached out offering different resources as well. So that's great. So now I'm also a part of your fan page.
Hey, Tommy's fan. Yeah. I haven't been on social media in like 10, 11 years. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Joe's awesome like that.
Yeah.
And by the way, I have a Mike Gelfand enmity page.
Enmity. There, I like that.
An invite to join?
No, I urge you not to, but I can't stop people.
I understand. I just hope people do understand that this is necessary. There are people, and I know they think, oh, we live in America, everybody does great. No, they do not. Not everybody does well just because this is America. Correct?
Yeah. There's some other Facebook group pages that I've joined that are like low-income moms that kind of a community together. Man, every day there was one yesterday where this woman just got out of a situation, had to move into a new place. She has 2 young kids. She's like, I have no beds. I have no blankets. I have no pots and pans. I have no food. I don't have a vehicle to get to pick up my food stamps. Like, can anybody do anything? And it just rips you apart to read that and think about that visually. And then the also like beautiful thing is the other moms that are in very similar situations are the ones that are coming to help her. Like, they don't even have anything to give themselves, but they're all helping each other. And it's just like, it's like sad, but there's like beauty in that of how they're all like finding their community. But they're just, I could go just down a rabbit hole of how many people really do need help. And of course, the moms, being a mom myself, it just like tugs at my heart.
Are people as giving or receptive to giving as they should be now? Or in other words, are people kind of holding back because it is a very emotional time, a lot of anger out there, but it is the holidays. So they're going, oh my God, should I be happy? Should I be mad? Is there a problem for some people kind of figuring out which way to go these days?
Probably. I mean, I'm not a trained psychologist, so it's hard to say. But yes, I mean, I think I even experienced that. Right? It's like you want the joy of the holidays for your children because it's really magical to see it in their eyes. But there's also just the stress of all of it. Of like, we're having family coming into town to stay, and there's like meal planning and gift buying and how many gifts are too much. And, my 11-year-old doesn't want anything. He doesn't want people to spend money on him, which is just like,
really,
he's just the oldest, sweetest soul. And it's like, while I appreciate that, I'm like, you're 11 and I want you to be 11. And I want you to know that like people want to buy you things. And I always have to tell him, he's very hyper aware of money, which again, I think will serve him very well in the long run. He gets that from his father, not from me. But also there are times where I'm like, honey, like you have to understand if mom and dad couldn't do it, we wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like we aren't people that are going to put ourselves in a financial situation that is going to be detrimental to the family. So like, just be 11 and trust us that it's our job to worry about the finances and not your job. But it's tricky. It's tricky because you're managing your kids' emotions on top of it.
Yeah.
Right. And like there was one year, I remember we went way overboard on gifts, and it got to the point by the end was the biggest like unveiling was we were taking them on a Disney cruise. And by the time they got there, they had no reaction because they were overstimulated.
Yeah.
And that was disappointing for me because I wanted like tears and like screams, and they were just kind of like, so I really learned to scale way, way, way back.
Why do you think you were so attracted? Because I was just asked this, as a matter of fact, I think from the last time you were on, it's like, Tom, why you get so involved with helping people out during the holiday and blah, blah, blah. Because even though my mother had zero money, I mean, there was not just zero, it was minus. Mm-hmm. I don't know how the hell she did it, but we all got a gift at Christmas time, and it was always a really nice gift and all the rest of it. So imagine, all I can do is picture in my head, if my mother was dirt poor, and I don't know what she had to go through to get these gifts for us, but think about that. You're sitting down and you do realize I have no money to get gifts for my children. Imagine what that feels like.
Tom, I think about that all the time.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Because of my mom, I'm the youngest, and my sister is the oldest. And we always talk about our childhood so differently because my mom kept the magic. My sister was more aware of everything. She's like, oh, we were broke. And I was like, what do you mean? When I got that giant Simba stuffed animal? She's like, you don't even know what mom would run around. She would cry in her bed. And like, I had no idea. My mom kept me in a bubble. Like it's 90% of my personality is because my mom let me be a kid for so long.
Don't blame that on your mother.
Sorry, Beverly. Yeah. But like, I just go, how did she do that? Like there was something magical about that, to have 3 kids living alone in Stillwater with a mortgage and substitute teaching while bartending because you're trying to get into the work in the school system. It's like blows my mind what my mom would do and shelter us from and keep that magic alive. I just think my mom, I think about her traveling from North Dakota to Stillwater and like how terrifying that must have been. Like I'm scared to like switch houses with Justin and Go-Go. Like I just blows my
Moms are
mind.
Forced to be reckoned with,
No,
for sure.
so
There was
strong.
one of the moms. So collectively, there's 12 moms. We're kind of divided up by dealership and by car. And one of the other influencers through a different dealership had posted her story. She kind of reached out and said, "Help me! Like, what tips can you share? You're getting amazing donations." And I said, "You really have to connect people to the story of these women. Like, who are they? What do they need? What are they struggling with?" And she did. And oh my goodness, her mom has been on and off homeless. And she said she'll put her kids in the car and they'll go on an adventure. And she said her kids think that they're living this like life of travel, and yet they have no idea it's because they don't have a home at that time. And so her wish is to be able to take them on an actual vacation.
Oh God.
And it's that like you keep that from your kids because you want to protect them as much as you can. So I had enough from what I had raised that I sent her over $800 to use towards her moms, because again, it's like they all need something. And at this point, I just want to help them all as best I can. But yeah, you think about that. I mean, I feel like pit in my stomach, unable to sleep, unable to eat is how it would feel.
Yeah.
If I was in those situations.
And you have
paralyzed.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I get so overwhelmed, I become paralyzed. Like I am like fight, flight, or freeze. I'm a freeze mentality.
Yeah. I just think I don't know. Anytime I think about the time, and you know this, anytime you probably think of your mom in that situation, you go, how did she do it?
Well, I'll give you an example. Hey, kids, it's going to be a great Christmas. We're taking the bus to Como Park. Oh, boy.
I know. We get to wave at anyone we want. It's like a parade.
But I didn't know. I thought that was a very special thing and a very cool thing. So I didn't know, right?
Yeah.
I hope as a little kid, you don't know what your parents are supposed to do if they don't have any money at Christmas time. You probably shouldn't know that.
Yeah.
But no, I don't have any bad memories of Christmas at all. My mother did a magnificent, busted her ass to do it. No doubt about it. But kind of exactly what you guys are talking about. Mothers can step up. I do know that.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the multitasking and again, it's like one thing if you're a stressed person and you're walking around stressed and showing it, but to not only be that stressed and then to turn it off and be like, hey, let's go to Como Zoo. Let's take the bus.
Mm-hmm.
In your mind, you're like, this is all I can do for my kids right now.
Yeah. And to not be able to to continue to move forward with that happy face, but it's like always in the back of your mind, right? Like you can't forget it and let it go yourself, but you do have to put on your happy face. Although my 11-year-old, like I said, nothing can go past him. And he's been very in tune with what's been going on with the 12 moms. And he gets super excited with me. We hug and we cry together when, a big check comes in. But I'm also trying to be like, these are happy tears and trying to protect him a little bit because he absorbs my emotions. Sure. And so there's like these layers to it where it's like, I want him to see the good that I'm doing and the impact and the community that's coming together, but I don't want him to absorb like the stress of it all as well.
Yeah.
And by the way, Gal fan, you're not hiding anything. I can hear you thinking, thank God I'm not Goyisha.
Hey, I was just thinking back to all the great Hanukkahs and Christmas we experienced as kids. Oh, wait a minute, there weren't any. I'm sorry. No, what I actually think about is I feel really badly for people there are so many people out there who simply can't enjoy any of this stuff.
Yeah.
The halfway houses are filled to the brim. Mm-hmm. The mental illness is it's a huge thing. And of course, Tom, you know what it's like, and I know what it's like to be a kid and live in a house with mental illness. Mm-hmm. I was, of course, one of those people who was mentally ill, so I didn't look at it from inside.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, really, there's just so much out there. Yesterday, I was on the internet because I'm going to do a story about my Lendegard's kid. Bob Lendegard.
Oh God!
A friend of mine forever, and his son was the one who was. You probably read about it. Was stabbed to death at a bus stop in Edina, and so I start looking. Like I'm trying to figure out where the guy who murdered him, where did he live? I want to be able to trace that, and then I'm looking at like 35 different halfway houses, sober houses, mental wards.
Oh, yeah.
It goes on, and you can see this underbelly there. So, you know, I think it's a time of year, and of course, this goes back to what Amy's saying. It's a time of year to be able to connect with people like that, with people who are suffering, and do anything you can to make things just a little easier for them.
I think the other thing it's really, and maybe I don't know if I said this last time or not, but the thing that it's really reminded me of too is just the importance of shopping small, because these small businesses, the small restaurants, the small shops, they are the ones that are the first to raise their hand and donate goods, services, gift cards. And they are struggling like so many, you know, I'm very well connected to a lot of the boutiques because I'm a fashion stylist and that's what I do. And I've had so many conversations with them about how difficult this holiday season has been. Black Friday sales were way down. Shop small Saturdays were way down. September, October were really hard. And so they are struggling to keep their lights on, but yet they're the first to be like, what do you need? And giving goods from their store. And so it just reminds me, I know it's so easy to go on to Amazon, you know, get the Prime deals delivered to your house in 2 days or whatever, and all the Black Friday sales, but it really is a reminder of how important it is to keep this community alive, to shop small whenever we can.
It is a wonderful thing that you do. That's why I've always liked you, Amy.
Thank you.
There you go. Thank you again for your hard work, because I know it's very hard work. There's no doubt about that. It is very emotional work. No doubt about that. You probably don't sleep a whole lot in December, do you?
I do not. Nope, I do not. But I did have an idea. I think next year I'm going to do a Christmas in July. And so I'm going to use the month of July to start to get ahead of it and really campaign for 12 Moms then as a kickoff, because I think a lot of people sometimes are in a better financial position in the middle of the year than December when they have all these other expenses. So that's kind of my plan for next year, to just spread out the emotional instability to 2 months out of the year instead of 1.
I think it's a great idea. Matter of fact, you should come in studio. We'll get Santa to come in July. That'll be magnificent.
I would love that.
I just
Will
love
you
your
wear a
attitude.
Santa suit? Tom, are you going to be Santa?
Can you even imagine Santa with this voice? Hey, kids, how you doing? How's it
Oh my
going?
God, Gogo would lose her mind because she goes, ho, 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 ho.
I think most kids would just be frightened.
Yeah, terrified. But like,
He's got a weird beard and he sounds like that. Oh my God. But Amy, do come back. All the love in the world for you and people like you that reach out and help people who really, really need help. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Magnificent.
Happy
We'll take a break.
holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone. We will be right back. Kristyn Burt will join us right after this.
This is the Tom Barnard Show.
Tom here, and I want to discuss a partnership that has been wonderful in my life, Zero Res Carpet Care. Very good friends of mine. Nothing is better to someone with a family than having a completely clean home. Your carpet is the biggest filter in your house. If you want to talk about pet dander or foot traffic, dirt from the outside, they all eventually reside in your carpet. So, Zero Res Carpet Care. Listen, around the holidays, you need to contact ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZEROREZ. That's 952-ZERO-RES. They clean your home with their electrolyzed pH-elevated water that doesn't use chemicals or soaps that smell like a janitor's closet like other cleaning services. How about a Tom Barnard deal? Well, here it is. Get 3 rooms, 0 resified, starting at $129, and don't forget your air ducts. Mention me, and they'll discount your air vents by $75 too. This is for the entire month, so call them right now, 952-0-RES, backward or forwarded, spells the same, or book online, ZeroResMinnesota.com. If it's available, ask for them to come to your place in the Tom Barnard named service truck. What an honor that was, by the way. Just mention me by name and get the special deal to get your home clean and your heart happy. Zero Res Carpet.
Recently, Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC was contacted by a company that does on-site sales. Jim was confused.
Wait, they don't know anything about us, our staff, our reputation, most importantly, our customers.
Hey, pal, no problem. We do them all over the country. You know, get the manager off the roof sale, inflatable gorilla sale, and our favorite, the 13-hour sale with a giant clock that goes to 13. Urgency, baby. We bring our crew because, well, your people are, let's just say, a little laid back.
And the pricing?
Nothing special, sport.
But Jim thought, we price competitively every day. Our prices are special. We definitely don't need these guys. But sale does convey some urgency, so we made a bold decision for his fine dealerships.
Announcing the Valley Buick GMC 365-day sale. And we can even extend it a couple years or so.
I got the air dancer guy, scratch-offs, plastic keys, bubble machine.
Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley or Hastings or valleycardealers.com. Hurry.
I'm so happy to welcome back our longtime friend, Sabre Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, to the show. I've known Steve, the owner, for many years, and I completely trust Sabre to keep my house comfortable. Why? Sabre does everything the right way, and they always put the customer first. I love the team at Sabre because their service experts are experienced NATE certified technicians, not salespeople. Their pricing is completely upfront, and they fix only what needs to be fixed, nothing more. Sabre is dedicated to giving customers what they need, when they need it, at the fair price, keeping your family safe and comfortable without breaking the bank. Give Sabre Heating and Air Conditioning a try. I know they'll take care of you just like they've taken care of me and my family. Whether you need a new Bryant furnace or air conditioner replaced, or just simply need a service call to get you going again, go to saberheating.com. That's SABRE heating.com. Sabre and Bryant, whatever it takes. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Well, by we, I don't mean Brittany, but all the rest of us are back. But
no, she's
I
like
just had
crying.
I had to run up. She's tearing up over the holiday, or just the fact that she's such a disaster?
Probably both.
It's both. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I just had to run out because I noticed that I looked back at the door back there and Judd was peering in through the window.
Oh, I
And,
yeah.
Yeah. So I had to go out and now he's in here. But the great part of it is, I don't know if you can see him or not. I think my chair is in the way. But he comes in and then he stands at the door and looks out to wait for Catherine to come home anyway. He wants to come in, but he only wants to come in so he can peer out the window and see when she's coming home. So I mean nothing to this dog, apparently. Don't worry about my feelings.
They
You know
have
what I
their
mean?
person. That's it.
Oh my, he just goes berserk for her. It's amazing. I mean, he's great. We have a great relationship, all the rest of it, but he, honest to God, you would think he was going to hang himself if she didn't come home on time. He just gets nuts about that. It's weird. I got to ask you one more question before we move on here. Do any of you own a dog?
Yep. I have a little Pomsky.
Oh, that's right, you do.
Yep.
Andy, you do, I know. Kitties, we got kitties. I don't know how the hell this is possible, but Judd every day at 3:57 walks to his dish. How the hell does he know what time it is?
Cats do the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean they know there's sort of like a circadian rhythm there.
Yeah,
definitely.
And they get messed up with when the time changes as well. The fall back, spring ahead situation.
Yep.
It is that close. You're right. If it changes by 1 hour, it throws them way off because, like, well, wait a minute.
Well, both cats that I've had in the last 25 years, both of these cats would right about September 15th, almost to the day, they would start sleeping in the linen closet. So that was their winter sleeping place.
Yeah.
They feel the temperature changes.
Yes,
the
they
little
do.
one who's always here with us every morning sleeps on me every single night. Really, but it's seasonal. It's
Right.
seasonal because when it gets LA cold, that's when she starts sleeping on me. And if it's summer, she is nowhere near my body.
What, did Brittany quit the job? What did she do?
She's walking Amy out
Oh.
/ going to the bathroom.
You know, when two women go to the women's room together, it's going to be a long trip.
Yeah. Gossiping.
They're gossiping about all of you. Remember that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that probably makes sense. Look, I just looked across the top of the rack here because Kristyn and Gelfand are on the bottom. But the top, you go from my green shirt to Andy's red shirt to Tevin's kind of gray, but leaning white. So red, white, and blue. I'm going to use it for white right now, but it's close enough. Look at that. We're all festive on the top row, and you guys, typical backstabbers.
Should it say princess?
Does that say
What is-
princess?
Does it say
Yeah,
princess?
it does. It says Princess Polly.
Who's that?
Princess Polly is an Australian brand, a fashion brand.
Oh, big shot.
Cool.
Yeah. I know they gave this to me for free.
Oh, I knew it had to be a freebie.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, it's so comfortable. It is my favorite. And they gave me a green bomber jacket and a red leather jacket, and they are gorgeous.
I would imagine so.
After all those years in radio, like even when I left radio, it took me about 10 years before I bought an article of clothing.
That was it.
Well, because we got so much good free stuff, you know.
I'm still
Yeah, when you're
every
gifted, it's
sock,
nice.
almost every sock I own, I have gotten for free. Because
Why
of
socks?
JB, when he was the
oh sure,
yeah, the equipment guy, he'd always just give out socks. He's like, yeah, we have tons of them. Have some socks.
Well,
Who
there
doesn't
you
love
go.
free stuff? Let's be honest.
Oh, absolutely. Half of
When a
I would say
swag bag arrives at your house, like when I go to my PO box and there's a box waiting for
Mhm.
me, I get really excited.
yeah, 80% of the furniture in my house we got it for free. People are like, oh, we're getting rid of this. I'll take it. Sure.
Sounds good. Kristyn, I got to tell you something. I mentioned this morning, and Mike Gelfand, you weren't here then at that time, but I wanted to honor Norman Lear, who died at 101 years old. Norman used to come on the old Q morning show all the time. He's just a really, really, never met him in person, but I talked to him on the phone. One of those kind of guys. But I wanted to just think of Norman yesterday. So I watched the very first episode of Sanford and Son, which he and Bud Yorkin did together, right?
Yeah.
It was a magnificent show, by the way. 71 years later, it's still funny. No question.
71 years old?
Yeah, I see those reruns
Oh,
occasionally.
51 years old, excuse me.
I was
51
trying to say, there's no way.
I
No,
was
you're
like,
right, 51.
wow, time has gone by fast.
71 was the first year of it, I believe. Maybe 70. No, 72. 72 was, yeah.
Well,
So, yeah,
January, so it was close to 71.
Tom, where did you find Sanford and Son? Like what streaming platform?
God, so it was on, I believe it was on Peacock, I think.
Okay, great.
I think it's
Just
on a
so-
number of sites.
Yeah, I was going to say Tubi and Pluto are probably great resources
Yeah,
for Norman
yeah.
Lear. 'Cause there's probably channels dedicated to it, but I know a lot of people are probably searching out his shows right now. So just wanted to make sure we got that out.
I saved this line for you and Gelfand to be in studio. The rest of us were, well, Andy too, we're already in studio. But Lamont, his son, Fred Sanford's son, Red Fox.
You mean the first Lamont?
The first Lamont, yes,
Remember there were
was
two
the very
Lamonts.
first episode. I didn't know that. Were really?
Yeah, there were two Lamonts. Yeah,
I
well,
must not have seen
I think the original Lamont. This is a phrase I hear increasingly in the last few years. I think he aged out.
Oh,
Oh, you think he got too old to be a son?
Either that or it was a contract dispute.
So there's Lamont is given a statue, a porcelain statue, and he knows it's worth a lot of money. It's just pristine. It's beautiful. And they argue over what it's all about. And of course, Red Fox goes, what a waste of time. Look at that thing. That thing is hideous. You know, he's just arguing every point, right? So they go to an auction. Well, first of all, they go to the store to ask about being in the auction, right? So Fred Sanford, son Lamont, come walking through the front door with the porcelain. He's just holding a box. You can't see the statue. And the owner comes up, and what does he say? This is 1972.
Well, I know what people said to me every time I went to a fashionable country club, which was, "Can I help you?"
That was pretty close because the owner, he sees both men come in. He looks at him and goes, "Oh, deliveries are in the rear."
Oh, ouch.
I mean, that was a stinger 51 years ago. So that's the chances they took on that show, and it worked beautifully. It really did. It helped people out a lot.
Yeah, it was
pretty
just
cool.
one version, like of All in the Family, right?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot like All in the Family, which there were a few things mentioned on that show probably wouldn't be mentioned in today's stuff either.
No,
They
But,
would not
people like-
fly in 2023.
No. But Norman Lear and Bud Yorkin rolled the dice and took a chance, as did Red Fox, of course, and Damon Wilson, who played Lamont. They took a role, they took a chance, and it worked because that show was a big hit for like 6-7 years, something like that.
Oh, at least, yeah.
Yeah, it was about that. Yeah.
Well,
So
Norman Lear,
it just,
he was a guy with humility too.
yes, absolutely. Lived to be 101 years old. I liked it, Kristyn. I always liked his work, no doubt about it.
And worked up to the very end. I mean, he was someone who just did not retire, loved what he did, and continued. I mean, he really was extremely successful all the way up until the very end. He was doing a lot of those live versions of some of his old shows and producing with new actors. And he loved it. I think that's incredible.
I do too. Well, that's why we loved it so much. I think that's exactly why it was so good, because he loved it so much.
He had a great line. he said he was like, this was like, I think on his like 99th birthday or something. And he said, and I'm just paraphrasing, but he said something like, yeah, he said, I'm still working, but I'm not as sharp as I was when I was 95.
That's funny.
That's a great line. That is a great line. A lot of good stuff coming up for the holiday season. Notice I said holiday season because, you know, Ixnay on the UJ Gal fans here. You know, so I can't just say.
Tomorrow is Hanukkah.
I thought Hanukkah started today.
No, it's today.
Isn't it tonight?
It's tonight until next Friday.
Tonight,
Yeah, it starts tonight at sundown.
Sunday,
Yep.
right.
There you go. It's today, yep. Or tonight, I should say. Yeah. So we were both wrong. I said today, it should have said tonight.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Halfway in between.
Yeah, well, you both acknowledge the holiday, so that's the good part, no question about it. How is the feeling in LA? Is there any spirit going on? Any holiday feeling out there? Is everybody still madder than hell?
I unfortunately not a lot of good news because they
Yeah.
just released the numbers out of the strike.
Oh.
17% of the entertainment workforce lost their jobs due to the strike.
17%?
17%. And they said that there's about a 26% contraction of the industry overall that will continue for the foreseeable future, including, like they said, you know, not just the pandemic, not just the strike, but we have officially seen the end of peak TV. So that is going to be, we're going to be seeing a lot of budget cuts and continued layoffs. I think a lot of people just also saw that Spotify laid off 17% of their workforce ahead of the holidays. So yeah, so I think we're going to see this kind of overall for the foreseeable future. And I think in reaction to the strikes and in reaction to the delayed production schedules, HBO just said, hey, like this is what we're releasing in 2024. But a lot of your favorite shows are not coming until 2025. And that includes, and just like that, Euphoria and The Last of Us. So we've got a solid year and a half before we will see those shows come back.
How about the news release by Spotify? Did you see that?
Mm-mm.
They released a statement that said, yes, we've cut back some of our workforce so we can do a better job for you.
And of course, they had record profits last month, by the way, but they just said, yeah, you know that. That's true. And last quarter, and they're just like, hey, we have to do this because we have too many people doing the same job. You know that. They just want to make the record profits more profitable, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why newspapers have about, typically about 1/3 the number of employees that they had 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Is it even 1/3 anymore, Mike?
Well, I think that the figure I heard was that about 75% of the employees 20 years ago are gone now and not replaced either.
Well, the formula is you take all the employees that were employed back then and you subtract every editor, and that's how you get what they're like today.
Boy, that sounds like a panacea to me.
Well,
Not a fan of the editors, huh?
As someone who works for a media outlet, I can tell you that you're expected to at least do your own copy editing. It does go to another editor, but you're also expected to be the photo editor. You source the photos now too. You don't have somebody else source photos for you any longer. Yeah. And oftentimes, at some places you're often doing the producing and the editing of your videos. You're expected to have 5 or 6 skill sets that even 10 years ago, you wouldn't be expected to have.
I could see it. One question before we do move on from the subject, Mike, why do they still offer a printed version of the newspaper?
Well, I think a lot of people, mostly older people, obviously.
In their
mostly
70s,
people
yeah,
over
at least.
65, even 70. I think they like the feeling of being able to sit back in their favorite chair and read this real newspaper in front of them. I don't subscribe. So I read everything, just about everything online, but occasionally I'll get the print version of the newspaper. And I maybe it's just nostalgia at this point. I don't know.
I think that once the boomer generation is gone, we will see the end of print.
Yeah.
We're rapidly seeing it now. Yeah. There's no question, but still, both the Minneapolis papers and the St. Paul still has a newspaper, even though it's like 4 pages. But you'd be amazed at the number of people who subscribe to those 4 pages.
Well, Catherine and I still get the Star Tribune, and that's only about 6 pages. So there you go.
Oh, it's and that's like that's like the World Book Encyclopedia compared to the St. Paul paper.
I remember as a kid when we got the Sunday edition, it was like it had to have been 14 trillion pages.
Oh, God. Sunday was massive.
You could hollow it out and live in it.
And that's why that's how newspapers started to really go into decline, like mid-sized cities newspapers, because they were making a fortune on those want ads.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh God, yep.
And there's no want ads anymore, so they lost this huge part of their revenue, and then they lost all the auto dealer revenue because they started just publishing their own little magazines, whatever you want to call them.
And studios, movie times, and things like that in the entertainment section.
Movies too, yeah. So what the best revenue promoter in newspapers like the Star Tribune is the obituaries.
That's the good part.
They charge a lot for those obituaries.
Oh God, they sure do.
Yeah.
It's hundreds of dollars for like 50 words.
Oh yeah, no, I see obituaries in there all the time that probably cost $3,000.
Yeah, it's absurd how much obituaries cost. And well, it's also to put it lightly, a dying market because I like the average person, like the average millennial. You know, when we die, are we going to be like, oh, please put my obituary in the local paper? No.
Right. Only if I wanted nobody to know that I died.
Yeah.
Then I'll.
Or it goes on social media. Social media has become a place to announce passings.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like once the boomer generation and maybe some of Gen X has passed, newspaper obituaries are just not going to be a thing anymore. And they know it. So they're like, might as well gouge while we can.
Listen,
well,
I was reading
also, there's another aspect to it, and that is like in a newspaper like the Star Tribune, because the readers are usually over 65, you know, they're people who are really eager to see the obituaries. But it's actually it works both ways. People, there are probably more people reading the obituaries than are reading the sports section.
Yeah, definitely.
You guys just keep talking. I'm looking at the TV guide right now to see what's on TV tonight.
Frasier's season finale is on tonight.
That was a joke, actually. TV guide doesn't even exist anymore, does it?
I'm watching it slowly
online.
scroll. What's on channel 7? Okay, channel 8. Got
Was
it.
it the Ackerman family? I think was the Ackermans or Ackerberg. They own TV Guide, right? They were the best friends of like Ronald Reagan. I do remember that.
Let's see here.
No TV Guide anymore.
Annenberg.
Annenberg. That's
Oh yeah,
what
the Annenberg. They also own the Reader's Digest.
Yes, they did. But that's gone too now, isn't it?
I hope so.
I think online versions are available for both.
Yeah.
TVGuide.com does exist.
They still have a website. Yep. And actually, it looks like they might still be in print.
You mean there's still humor in uniform?
They have a circulation of 3 million.
Wow.
Wow, that's impressive.
And if it's in print, I bet the type sizes are very large.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. And also, I bet like 2.8 million of those are to doctors and dentists' offices.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
After the pandemic, most doctors' offices, at least here in Los Angeles, they don't carry magazines anymore.
Really?
Yeah,
that's the thing that fell by the wayside.
Yeah, they're starting to get rid of them. Yeah.
That makes total sense. Okay, what are you talking about that was coming up big now?
I just think tonight is Frasier's season finale on Paramount Plus.
I don't like it. I'm sorry. I loved Frasier, but I don't like this version of it
They
at all.
took away all the characters. It's
they did.
I don't know. It feels so hollow now.
Yeah, it looks like just a version of the Golden Bachelor at this point.
Well, yeah. I mean, Kelsey Grammer's, how old is he now? Let's see.
I'm going to say he's in the 70s.
I would say like mid to late 70s.
He's only 68.
Oh, wow.
What? Well, he's had a rough life, though. Have you read his
he's looked
biography?
68 for 30 years.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, I mean, like when Frasier first started, what year was that? Let's see. Frasier started in 1993. He was my age when that started.
That's wild.
No.
He looks like, he's like the old stuffy professor, but no, he's like barely even middle-aged when he started that show.
Andy, go back to when he joined Cheers, because he was
he's
even
a baby
younger and
now.
still
Yeah.
looked old.
Yeah.
Also, at 37, he had that apartment. Shut
Well,
up.
yeah, that's the thing.
Good point.
Well,
Oh
remember
my
Friends, how they lived in Manhattan.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah. Well, they actually explain that later because they inherited it from someone's grandma. I think it was Monica's grandma or
Yeah.
something.
Well,
And because
it was
of
rent controlled.
rent
It was from
control.
keeping the family.
Yeah, the line was, and thanks to rent control, it's a freaking steal.
That's explained in one sentence. They go, we need to address this. They wrote one
it's
sentence.
just rent control. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but people don't understand rent control in Manhattan. They'd be like, okay, it still doesn't seem.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I was like, oh, I guess the rent's been controlled. No need to worry about it.
There you have it. I have to ask you a question. The reason I didn't care for Frasier, the supporting cast was not very good. Particularly his son is not good at all in that show.
Frederick.
Is that who it was?
Freddie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freddie. Hey, did you like him, Kristyn?
I thought he was good. I mean,
Yeah.
I think maybe the problem is that it was the original series was so centered on like Roz and Daphne.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you kind of miss those dynamics. I mean, John Maloney's no longer with us. So, I mean,
Yeah.
gosh, that was so funny just to have like this beautiful, luxurious apartment and that like really run down easy chair in the middle of the living room, which irritated Frasier all the time, and to have a dog in the house. Like all of those little things that you knew sent Frasier's OCD into the stratosphere.
Yeah.
Were no longer there.
Well, and they kind of tried to do that with Freddie by making him a little bit of like an antithetical character,
Mhm.
but I don't know. It didn't
land
work
as
quite
well.
as well.
Yeah.
Because he was going to be the golden child. He was going to go to Harvard, but then he dropped out. And, obviously Frasier didn't like that, but it's not quite enough, I would say.
Oh, and of course, Niles with Niles being sort of the foil.
Yeah, Niles was
phenomenal.
Probably my second favorite character on the show after Frasier himself.
Why didn't
David
he
Hyde
come back?
Pierce is fantastic.
Why didn't he come back?
He's very busy on Broadway. He is.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he goes from like show to show to show, and I think he just said, I've done everything I can with this character. And
Yeah.
you have to think about that because he's turning down TV money. He's probably not making as much money on Broadway, but he's like, I'm good. I've put it in my past.
Well, we just finished up Home Improvement, and they were offered a Guinness World Record breaking salary to do another season. And they were like, nah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Brittany does not like that.
No, she was doing a thing.
Scooby-Doo.
Have you guys been hearing all this stuff about Tim Allen in the news?
Yeah, I saw that on the Christmas set.
So Casey Wilson, who was a guest star, she was only on one episode of The Santa Claus, which is on Disney Plus, just said that Tim Allen was a bitch to work for.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
Never dressed her, didn't look her in the eye, was complaining and whiny on set, and said he literally was the worst person she has acted opposite.
Well, maybe he was a bitch in prison. That might account for his attitude.
His cocaine trafficking.
That was in Minnesota, Sandstone Prison.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
he
did
was
not
up
know
north.
Yep,
Huh.
he was at Sandstone Prison in Minnesota. That's where they put him.
Was that federal prison?
Yeah, I believe
Yeah,
it is.
Sandstone, I think it is, right?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, it's not. I heard he is a massive. I met him one time, and it was for about 2 seconds. So, but I've heard he's a massive pain in the ass.
Well, another thing, I haven't seen. I've seen only a few minutes of any shows he's in, but he is a terrible actor.
He is. You're right. He's not very good, but a couple of big hits. So, tip of the
He's had
cap
a
to
lot
him.
of big hits.
Incredible
has.
career. I went to see a taping of Last Man Standing when Bill was working on I Love Lucy Live. The writer of that show worked on Last Man Standing as a writer, and she took all of us to go see it. And he was obviously nice to us, and she had worked for him for years and years and years. But you can tell, like the feeling on set when you go. There's always like an atmosphere, and like this is a cast that genuinely likes each other and probably hangs out, and does barbecues or has fun parties together. And then the sets where people like just clock in and clock out. This was a clock in, clock out set.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Can you guys see behind me that little brown spot over it'd be my right shoulder?
I can.
By the lamp?
I can see a lamp.
No, the other side, right under the
The
door.
little dot beside your seat.
Is that Jude?
That's Jude's head. He's peering out the window, waiting for Catherine to get home.
Jude,
Wow.
come to my voice.
Judy.
I'll get him next time.
Hey, Jude.
He's just, I got to come in there so I can turn around and stare out the window, but I at least won't be alone.
Dad, do you want to miss Mom together?
Oh, God. Yes, I do. There's no question.
It's
Anything
so
else we should be
cute.
watching? Oh, he's a beautiful dog.
We have to ask Tevin if you applied yet for Squid Games the
I-
challenge. I sent him the
that's
casting
right.
application.
I have everything filled out. I just need to I'm making my 1-minute video for why I want to be on Squid Games. We'll get that submitted today. So when you guys see me on season 2 of Squid Game Challenge, just know that I'll be thinking of you as I attempt to win $4.56 million.
Do you want me to help film it? I just want to be a part of this so bad.
So I was thinking I'm gonna do a because I'm not just gonna stand for him like, oh, my name's Tevin.
Yeah, we're gonna do something cool.
Yeah, you gotta do something cool. So if you have any ideas, I want to somehow. I think I'm gonna do like the spinning chair where I'm like facing the one way, turn around like, oh, hey there, and
I didn't see you come in.
Yeah, do you want to borrow my cat?
No,
Because you
For
spin
what
with the chair,
purpose?
the cat in your.
I think I'll use my dog because I think he's cuter than your cat.
Oh wow!
Yes.
There's a
Look how
kitty.
cute he is.
I got to
Where-
warn you.
where's that
I have to warn you about one thing, Tevin. So when I was on Wheel of Fortune, I just blew right off to the. I mean, I just was great. You know,
He was. From
I
top
mean,
to bottom, he was good.
Please. And this actually is the point I'm making. So I won all these. They didn't have money in those days, just all these prizes. I got off some really good one-liners, right?
Yep.
But all people ever talk about is how I failed to win the big one. So I just warn you, whatever you do, nobody's going to remember anything until you fall.
Right.
That is
Exactly.
very
So,
true.
Yeah, and like if I actually got on the show, it would be cool just to be a part of the whole, ecosystem that is, and I would be like probably somebody that's not going to cause chaos until the end. And well, did you watch the season finale of the?
I did.
I thought it was kind of bad. Like I was like,
I
it's kind
thought
of
it was really anticlimactic for all of the
Yeah.
buildup they gave us over 9 episodes for 10. And we won't spoil it with the winner because I know it just came out last night. But for all of that buildup to have such an anticlimactic final game, I was like, okay.
I thought the making of like the behind the scenes making of the Squid Game, I watched that afterwards, was more interesting than the finale itself. Kind of how they constructed everything and how you get, almost 500 people in a room
Yeah.
and make all these things. So, but no, it was
Super
fun.
interesting. I just want to throw out my idea for your video. I think like maybe you should do like a DJ set.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
Honestly, because it gives them a look into who you are, kind of like
true.
what you do without like playing into like, look at me, I'm in my green sweatsuit and I like love Squid Game so much. Give them like
Yeah.
authentically who you are. Cause I think that's what attracts them to contestants.
Perfect. I'll think of something to work that in there and maybe DJ the Squid Game theme song somehow and we'll make it happen.
I like that.
Oh my
I hope you get
God.
cast.
So do I. I'm just gonna be like, and I'm giving you a shout out first thing. They'll be like, what brings you here today? Kristyn Burt, famous Hollywood reporter. Yes, thank you. And I'll mention Tom and Gelfan and Andy, Amy Seeman. Who else? Judd.
Can't
Phil.
think of any other names.
I'm gonna mention,
Think of any other. Who else?
Great.
would have
You'll
been
be
on
the
this
first
show?
person I shout out on my next show.
I'll mention Jude. Sona, we just had on the show.
Seems like you forgot someone.
London. You got to mention London.
Oh, London the cat. Yes.
The
Now that
person who needs it the most in her life.
You did say from top to bottom, though.
Needy.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even want you to name it.
Oh, by the way, I just did some quick math. Based on your winnings in 1985, adjusted for inflation, you won $21,000 worth of stuff.
Would you rich?
So actually, that's a lot of money to win on a single episode of a game show.
And
but-
you got to bond with Tom by carrying that carpet into your house.
But like you said, you win $21,000 in a single day. But what everyone remembers is the money you didn't win.
Yeah. And what everybody will do is go, yeah, but that's only X amount after taxes.
I never say that.
Although
everybody
but
says
you
that.
got prizes. Did you pay taxes on the prizes back then?
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay.
You pay taxes on the actual value of them,
Oh, okay.
not the inflated price they'll say on the show.
Oh,
So
right.
What you have to do then is you have to take all the stuff you got, and then you have to price it out so you can save money on the taxes.
Mike, I have to ask, were you on the version? I don't know what year you were on, but was it the version where you used to be able to shop, or was it just where they give it to you?
It was 85.
Yeah. It was unfortunately it was before they started just handing out the money. So you got to shop, and the only thing, I mean, I got a lot of stuff that actually was practical and I could use, but what I cherish most, and the first thing when I really want a lot of money, shopping money, the first thing I purchased was the ceramic Dalmatian.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I like this. So Panasonic color video camera and VHS recorder.
Yeah, they came in handy.
At the time, priced $1,500.
Damn.
For a VHS recorder / camera. Adjusted for inflation, that's got to be like $8,000.
Yeah, and the kids love playing with that stuff.
For something that we would consider garbage today. It's just...
Didn't your son get to go to the taping too?
Yeah, I had Jake, my oldest
Jake,
son.
yeah.
And this is how I got my first laugh, which was unintentional. The part where Pat Sajak chats with people, even though he obviously sees and hates them all. No, he sometimes gets a bad rep. I got along great with him. Anyway, he said, and Mike, I understand that you're a family guy. And so I, in my mind, I went through a lot of jokes. And then, but what I said was, that's right. I said, and I've got 3 children. I've got 1 in the audience and 2 in diapers. And for some reason, everybody laughed. So after that, I was off and running. Right?
Yeah.
You couldn't stop me.
You got a taste of it. He said, I like you.
They love me. They really love me.
So the real question is, do you have any of the things you won still?
Definitely the ceramic dog.
You do? You still have that?
Yeah.
Oh wow! Well, there you go.
Ceramic dog has lasted. It's got some chips in it,
Oh well, yeah.
because the kids played with it and it fell over a bunch of times. So that for sure. There's actually a couch that the Berkliner couch.
Sleeper sofa and recliner.
I don't have it. I don't have it, but it's in the family room of my wife's house.
Oh.
So she has it, and I felt like I wanted to leave her with some very valuable things. So
well, listen to you.
Well, with the house too, by the way.
Mike from Blaine makes a good point, Kevin. There is one name you did forget.
Oh, who's that?
D Hart.
Oh, of course. My apologies, Derek. Of course I will shout you out.
You know what, Andy?
You're the #1 fan.
That really hurt.
Hey, I didn't say it. Mike from Blaine said it.
Maybe you should add Mike from Blaine to your list as well.
There you go. See?
Yes.
Very important part of the show.
Oh, Joe? Officer Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, they all
I'm
had a
so
huge
sorry,
impact
guys.
on your life. So
Yeah.
that's important to you.
You know that Mike from Blaine has been listening to my morning shows for 38 years.
That's actually insane.
Well, I don't. No,
amazing.
he's younger than me.
Oh yeah, he's younger than you.
So it's
I suppose yes, from when he was that's true.
From when he was very young.
Well, maybe he was listening prenatal.
Yeah, it's possible.
I don't know if he's younger than you, Andy. Mike from Blaine.
He never. I don't think he wants to say his exact age. He just said 30s last time I asked.
Really, because his mom used to bring him in the studio. You remember
that,
a
couple times.
Yeah, a couple times.
I feel like he was 21 when I started on the podcast like 10 years ago.
Well, that would about track, I would say.
There you go. God, Mike. God, he's been so basically it's still it. I had the number wrong, but it is still his whole life since he was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Fantastic. Oh my God, look at it. We just run over time like there's no tomorrow. Kristyn has a life to live.
What? I have work to do. Go figure.
But not Brittany. She has nothing to do in 4 minutes.
And no one wants to give her a shout out. I'm giving her a shout out.
I need it. Oh, I need it. Thank you. If you're ever on any sort of game,
go.
please act like I influenced you at all.
Absolutely.
Kristyn, have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. And the rest of us will be right back for the wrap up right after this.
This is the Tom Barnard Show. Listen live on the Tom Barnard Show app or at tombernardshow.com.
Guys, if you want to reignite your intimacy once and for all, listen, just give Twin Cities Premier Health a call for a discreet and confidential in-office evaluation by their highly trained staff of medical professionals. Acoustic wave therapy sessions are 25 to 30-minute treatments with no pain, no downtime afterward. And right now, Twin Cities Premier Health is offering a free treatment and a free consultation when you book today. Receive this $800 value when you use code word TOM at TwinCitiesPremierHealth.com. You may know that age-related erectile dysfunction is most commonly caused by a buildup of plaque in the arteries that supply blood to the erectile tissue. Acoustic wave therapy can rescue your relationship and has been clinically proven to break up plaque. Definitely take advantage of this limited time special offer. Receive a free treatment and a free consultation when you book today. This is a savings of $800 when you use code word TOM at TwinCitiesPremierHealth.com. Be sure to use promo code TOM so we get credit for sending you. I wouldn't recommend a service like this unless I knew they could help you. TwinCitiesPremierHealth.com. Tom here, and I want to discuss a partnership that has been wonderful in my life, Zero Res Carpet Care. Very good friends of mine. Nothing is better to someone with a family than having a completely clean home. Your carpet is the biggest filter in your house. If you want to talk about pet dander or foot traffic, dirt from the outside, they all eventually reside in your carpet. So, Zero Res Carpet Care. Listen, around the holidays, you need to contact ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZEROREZ. That's 952-ZERO-RES. They clean your home with their electrolyzed pH elevated water that doesn't use chemicals or soaps that smell like a janitor's closet like other cleaning services. How about a Tom Barnard deal? Well, here it is. Get 3 rooms, 0 resified, starting at $129, and don't forget your air ducts. Mention me, and they'll discount your air vents by $75 too. This is for the entire month, so call them right now, 952-0-RES, backward or forwarded, spells the same, or book online, ZeroResMinnesota.com. If it's available, ask for them to come to your place in the Tom Barnard named service truck. What an honor that was, by the way. Just mention me by name and get the special deal to get your home clean and your heart happy. Zero Res Carpet. Before you head back to one of the big box stores for your hunting and shooting needs this season, do yourself a favor and visit my choice, K&L Surplus and Ammo in Lino Lakes. Not only does K&L have one of the widest selections of firearms and ammo in the Twin Cities, they also do business the right way. They want to make sure that you have the right firearm and the right ammo for your needs. Jim, the owner, has over 25 years of experience in the business and will help you find what you need at a fair price. Speaking of prices, a lot of stores are using inflation and supply shortages as an excuse to raise prices on ammunition. Not K&L. Jim's doing everything to hold the line on pricing so you can spend more time on the range. Find out for yourself why K&L Surplus and Ammo has been the choice of gun owners for over 25 years. Go in and chat with Jim in person at the store on Lake Drive in Lino Lakes or online at klgunstore.com. We are back for the wrap-up, ladies and gentlemen. I just checked a couple of things people sent me. December temperatures could hit record-setting 50s and 60s in Minnesota this week. Just last week, over in the Eastern Hemisphere, December temperatures could hit record-setting low temperatures. So I don't know what to tell you. It's very cold there and apparently very warm here.
Yeah, I don't know. We might. I can remember, I think, 2 snowless Christmases in my life, and this might be the third, maybe.
Yeah, we had that year. I don't know when it was. Maybe 8 years, 9 years ago, when there really was no winter at all.
Yeah. For some reason, we just didn't have a winter. Well, it's El Nino, they say, and this year apparently it's also El Nino.
Yeah.
And La Nina is the opposite, right? It's like super cold, or is that made up?
Well, yeah, I think you're right.
But then there's also the polar vortex.
And there's that. And then there's a house where you have to walk around with 3 pairs of socks on. So pity me is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. That's all that matters.
Oh, man, I could store ice cubes on the floor of my house.
Really? Your house that cold, huh?
Well, it's like 74. You know, if my head is enjoying the 72-year-old temperature.
Yeah.
But my feet there it's like 55.
Yeah.
So I don't know really what to do there, you know.
And the bad air circulation causes that.
It's well, yeah, I guess that's it's just that there's basically, you know, there's no insulation there at all.
Yeah, we have a room that's like that where the floor is freezing cold.
Yeah.
Because it's basically like an annex to the house.
Mhm.
So underneath it, there's no insulation. So in the winter, it's like frigid.
I don't think there's any insulation in the walls. I think if you chip through the walls, you'd probably find like maybe like a 1910 version of the Hong Kong Daily Express.
Oh, we had, when we remodeled our basement in St. Paul, I remember we opened up the wall and there was just like a bunch of garbage in there.
Yeah.
They were just like, we don't have anywhere to put this, so we're just going to stick it in the wall and seal it up, and no one will ever know.
Well, the house I grew up in St. Paul, that was the same thing. If you went up to the attic, and eventually, of course, the insulation in the attic, little insulation there was, would just start to crumble and fall, and that's when you could see the Chinese newspapers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. It's a very good move. Another story that appears, and I several people wanted me to read this. St. Paul Council, I should say. St. Paul Council vote wipes away medical debt for thousands of residents. If I wrote that story, I would write St. Paul taxpayers wipe away medical debt for thousands of residents.
That's
right?
You're welcome.
They cannot take credit for that.
They're all in, many people file for bankruptcy every year just because they can't pay their doctor's bills. And that doesn't happen in any other country.
I understand what you're saying, but they still should give the credit where credit is due. It's not the St. Paul Council. They voted, but it's the taxpayers in St. Paul that are picking up the tab. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but at least give them credit for it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I still can never get over the fact, and I know I brought this up several times, probably never on this show, but I still love the fact that starting at 11 years old, I had my first job and I started paying taxes at 12, right?
Yeah.
So I've been paying taxes for many, many decades. I hate it that they take your money for Social Security and they hold on to it for 60 years. And then when they pay it back to you, they still take taxes out of it.
Mm-hmm.
How is that even allowed? That makes no sense. You get my money for 60 years, and then when you start giving it back, well, in most cases, it's probably about 45 years, I would guess. Look at Judd now. He's even taking a more powerful position looking out the window.
I know she's here somewhere.
She's 4 minutes late.
Oh.
But yeah, you kept my money for 45 years, let's say. And then when you give it back to me, you take taxes out of it? What? How did we ever agree to that as people?
And the rebates that we're getting in Minnesota, they're taxed.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I just, once again, could you give credit to the people who are actually paying the bill? It's not the St. Paul Council paying for it. It's the people of St. Paul.
Yeah. It's one of those things like how in order to send in your tax forms, you have to put a stamp on there and you buy the stamp from the government. They could just send you a pre-stamped envelope, but instead you have to go buy the stamps. It's just one of those little inefficiencies that there's 1,000 of, and they all really do add up.
One thing I've noticed that the Democrats and Republicans are coming together in one area, and they're doing it exactly like one another. So I'm glad to see they're at least agreeing on one thing, that everything you decide is a scam to get more people to vote for you. They are both doing that. It's disgusting.
That's literally their jobs, is to trick people into voting for them.
Exactly. That's what
you can't blame them. It's the system.
I guess. But I hope people do realize they're not being nice to people. They're just trying to get you to vote for them. That's all it. And it's both parties.
Yeah, we're putting 6 lost episodes together for the Christmas week that we're off, plus the first.
Oh, you are?
And I considered putting the Betsy Hodges episode on there, just so I could be like, let's see what she said versus what she did. But I decided that would be a little divisive.
God, I haven't talked to her in a long time. Well, I did make that statement the other day. Several politicians became, friends over the years. Betsy used to stop in all the time, all the rest of it.
She's on the show a bunch of times.
Yeah, there were Democrats, there were Republicans, the whole deal. I have not heard one word from any of them in about 5, 6, 7 to 10 years.
As soon as she got elected, we never heard from her again.
No, never. None of them. Not one of them.
They're very busy, Tom. Constituent service and all those things they do for us.
Oh, yeah.
Let's take a guess at the number of politicians that are getting on this show. And let me show you the number.
That's the whole thing is, once they get elected, their job is to get reelected.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that's right. No, you're absolutely right. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But Any big plans? No, Mike, Hanukkah starts tonight when the sun goes down. What are you going to do?
I'm going to not light any candles, although if I had kids around, I would do it,
Sure.
My cat would probably just burn the house down.
Probably. You mentioned that earlier.
It would just be out of spite, I might add. This is a cat who hates everybody except me.
You guys are perfect for each other.
No, that right, exactly. Yeah. Most antisocial cat I've ever seen. I mean, I look at this cat sometimes and I just mumble, what's the point?
All right, we got to take a break here, but that's going to wrap it up. Brittany, get off your ass.
We'll see you tomorrow.
We have two pieces of feedback for Tevin quickly.
Oh,
Officer
good.
Dave says to keep him out of your personal hell.
Stay out of his mouth.
And D Hart says,
stay out of his mouth.
He says,
Well, that's a
I'm over
reference.
for you, baby. So two very different
They're
responses.
busy talking over you, Andy. They apparently can't hear that you're reading something, which we're going to talk about again after this show.
All that matters is that Tevin heard it.
I heard it, yeah.
All that matters is that Tevin heard it. All right, that's going to do it. We'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll be right back with the family show right after this. You have all helped support MyPillow and their employees in these tough economic times. Mike Lindell knows this and continues to give back to listeners with great deals on his most popular products. Right now, you can save 50% on Queen and King pillows and the original My Slippers, and the MyPillow 6-pack bath towel sets are back in stock. The proprietary technology makes them extremely absorbent, yet still provides that soft feel you look for in a towel. Set comes with 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. Regular price is $79.98. And for a limited time, you can get this 6-pack towel set for only $39.99 with promo code TOM. That's a 50% savings. So go to MyPillow.com, use promo code TOM to save 50% on the MyPillow 6-pack towel sets. That is just $39.99 for a set. This deal will not last long. Enter promo code TOM for this special and many more. You know the song Kokomo? It's supposed to be off the Florida Keys, right? Hate to break your Beach Boys bubble, but that's a fictitious place they made up for the song. Fortunately for the rest of us, the Florida Keys island chain are as real as the taxes you have to pay in Minnesota if you're a resident. Now that's a reason to move south. In addition to Florida and all of Monroe County being beautiful, the Keys from Key Largo to Key West are even more beautiful. This is Tom Barnard, part-time Florida resident myself. And if you want a second house or a new retirement home or want to become a Floridian, may I suggest you contact Matt Carlson from One Key West Realty. Matt grew up in Litchfield. He's a super real estate agent when it comes to finding your tropical island space in the Keys. He lives there and here, and Matt knows what's best in Key West to buy for your second home in Florida. Matt teamed up with fellow Minnesotan from Sartell and Alexandria, Kristyn Eklund, who's one of the top mortgage brokers in the country from Coast to Coast Mortgage. She'll get you the financing you need to buy a home in Florida or in Minnesota. Matt's part of the Lake Sotheby's International Realty Group here in Minnesota, and Kristyn, his mortgage colleague, lives and works in the Keys, so they both know the Florida Keys' new and existing homes for sale and are Minnesotan through and through. Contact them by heading to onekeywest.com. That's onekeywest.com.
Is that text you're sending so important that you missed your turn? Is that text you're sending so important that you ran the red light? Is that text you're sending so important you didn't see the ball coming onto the road or the child that followed? Hi, I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw Bryant. When you take your eyes off the road for even 4 seconds, your vehicle travels 100 yards. That's the entire length of a football field. If you absolutely have to text, you need to pull off the road somewhere safe and do it from there. Texting and driving is against the law and can cause serious injury or even death to you and others. Now that is important. We hope you're never injured in a collision, but if you are, please contact us.
Find Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Going farther with Mike Bryant on your side, seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
Tom Barnard is back. Every weekday, you'll hear Tommy B, Brittany Arneson. Yes, that Brittany Arneson. along with Tom's pals Kent Herbeck on Fridays, Bob Sansevier, Mike Stretch Gelfand, Tim Lammers, and from Channel 5 Eyewitness News, Chris Egert and Kristen Burt on entertainment and pop culture. It's Tom and the crew with opinions on news, opinions on life, opinions on entertainment, and of course, opinions on other people's stupid opinions. The Tom Barnard Show is a podcast, so you can listen when you want to listen. In the car, on the way to or from work, at home, on the job site, or wherever you need your Tommy B Show fix. Hear the show on the Tom Barnard Show app in your app store, as a podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts, or see it on YouTube on the Tom Barnard Show channel.
Is Gelfand pooping? What is he doing?
Oh, he walked out with Brittany.
He is elsewhere.
Oh God, he's talking to Brittany. They'll never shut up. No, that's just how that's going to go. Anyway, welcome to the family with
Tevin Pittman
and Andy Bernard.
Very good. You know, I gotta figure out how to do this.
I didn't. It sounds like he was in the room with us.
Yeah.
And Gelfand.
He did. I didn't hear it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I just said and Gelfand.
Oh, you said and Gelfand. Okay, that makes a total difference.
I was confused for a second because I was like, I thought he was gone, but I heard his voice so clearly.
Well, he's usually on this show, but
he'll come back. I'm sure he's probably just getting coffee or something.
How do you guys think I can convince people this is not a radio show? Because the one thing I've noticed, because I started listening to more radio since we started doing this, people talk over each other constantly on the radio. But this is not a radio show.
But the audience doesn't mind. That's the thing.
They don't mind if we talk over one another?
Nope.
How do you ever get a conversation going and complete a conversation?
Well, what they like is the dinner table atmosphere. And at dinner tables, people talk over each other all the time. It's just like you can't make it like, constant over talking like they do on, for example, the news channels, where you'll have people just yelling over each other trying to get their point out.
Yeah.
But it's like if everyone's kind of, just like excited to talk and they want to put their piece in and everyone can kind of, filter it, then that makes sense.
All right.
I'm sure some people like it, but I think it does. I agree with you, Tom. It does get to a point where it can be overbearing because you can't.
Well, yeah.
Nobody finishes a thought or anything like that, and it can definitely become annoying.
Yeah, we shouldn't make it like the primary focus of the show is talking over each other, but people don't really care as long as it happens just every
all right. Well, I'm concerned for the listeners. I don't give a rat's ass how it goes. As long as the listeners like it, that's fine. But I've noticed on radio, people talk very loud now on the radio and they talk over each other constantly. I mean, I'm sitting in a microphone and go, so how you guys doing today? Everything going well? It's like, why are you talking so loud?
I get excited.
Get excited about seeing Evan and Gelfand. Is that it?
For me, it's the Sansevier effect.
Oh, Sandy can't quiet down.
I do like a half hour a week with him. And then after that, for 2 days, I'm walking around, just saying, hey, where's your put the, it's like I'm totally locked into the Sansevier method.
Well, he is a New Jersey Italian. Don't forget that.
Yeah. Well, and he's a wonderful guy, but he does shout.
He doesn't. Well, I'm glad I asked you guys about that because if people don't mind, then I don't. As long as the people don't care, I don't care. But it sounds really clunky to me.
Yeah. And I'm one of the offenders. I have obviously
of everything.
Yeah, I would say when in doubt, don't talk over other people.
Yeah, it's a natural part of conversation.
And it's not even just radio. I was watching I turned on CNN for 5 minutes and they were talking about some debate. And the two people that were there supposed to be analyzing it, it was just a big screaming over each other argument.
Yeah.
I was like, what? This doesn't even, this is so unwatchable.
Yep, that's the thing I was talking about, where it's like they're trying so hard to make their voice the loudest one in the room.
Yeah.
That ruins shows. I can't listen to that sort of thing.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad I brought this up to you guys because, like I said, as long as the listeners are not upset about it, I don't care. They can talk over each other all they want. It's just it's just a carryover from radio and it didn't used to be like that in the olden days, as they say. But
I don't know. I've been editing lost episodes, and those are 10 years old. And sometimes it was way worse back then.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's 100 times. We do it a lot less now because back then, I mean, if you think about it, for the first year or two, maybe 3 of the show, it's like the majority of the people on mic had never been on mic before. So we had no mic technique, we had no pacing technique, and people still really liked the show.
Oh, you know what I was thinking about Mike from Blaine again? I think we met Mike the first year of our family podcast. Is that when that's when he started coming in, right? So he's been coming in for like 12 years. Does that make sense? Or he did
probably 11, maybe 10. The earliest one I can remember is, let's see, right before the state fair.
Yeah, okay.
I think
that makes sense.
Or right after, around then. So, and that was, when was that, 2014 that we did the state fair? It was episode like 500 something. So yeah, 2014.
About right. That's probably about right. That's what a guy stood on the microphone going, yeah, I'm having a great time in Wisconsin. I'm growing potatoes and I'm growing rutabagas. And remember that guy? He was wonderful. He was.
Remember him. Fair. I actually still have that clip in here somewhere.
You do?
I have the entire 4-minute interview, but I also have a 6-second clip here.
There you go.
But if I play it on here, you won't be able to hear it.
Why not?
Because of the way StreamYard's set up. If I had it over on Zeta to go, I could let you hear it, but I don't know of any way to get it onto there at the moment, unfortunately.
Well, you guys can hear it, though.
That's true. I'll play it right now.
We sell sweet corn on the road, so someone coming by sweet corn, potatoes, onions, pickles.
That's awesome. I could hear that.
Oh, you could?
Oh. Absolutely.
Because I played a YouTube video, that one Cher song, Half Breed.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I remember you told me to play that, and I played it, and you couldn't hear it, but you could hear iTunes. That's interesting.
Maybe we updated it.
Maybe it's just better now.
We're getting a feedback from some of the listeners on the talking over discussion. Dale says he agrees with you, Tom, that it's annoying and rude.
Well,
see?
Well, it's I mean, there's always a middle ground, right? I mean, you don't want to be an Altman film.
No,
because what Altman does is he has people talking like they really do talk,
Mm-hmm.
But so you want spontaneity, but you don't want it to be an Altman film, and
you don't want it to be too natural, I suppose, is the idea. But
and a lot of times it's tough because you're not looking at each other so much, and so you're not getting the nonverbal cues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that does make it hard.
That makes a huge difference.
No, yeah, I mean,
like I said,
pretty much everyone in the chat said that they like the positivity and energy, and that is more important to them than the talking over thing.
Okay, good.
Joe says that they're used to it, and it's no different than going to a bar where everyone is just talking and you got to learn to filter it out. Andy on the email thing says that they like it when it means that people are engaged in the conversation. What he doesn't like is not letting people finish or get a word in.
Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. When they crush the very end of your statement, we cannot do.
Well, today it has been worse because there is a delay, and I don't really know why. You are definitely delayed today, and I can't really figure it out. I think your internet might need to be restarted.
It's always been a slight problem.
Well, yeah, it's been slight, but like today, there's been times where like we'll say something and he won't respond for like 2 solid seconds.
Yeah,
which that's not normal.
I wonder what that's all about.
I don't know. Or you could just not be paying attention. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's my fault. That's not you guys' fault. It's all me. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, ask me a question and see how long it takes me to answer.
Well, I don't think there's a delay. I think it's just there's moments where if I'm saying something or Brittany's saying something or anybody saying something, and then you'll take a pause because you're not sure if they're done or not.
That's possible.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's delayed. You can hear me now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's fine. It's not a delay. It's just, my reaction, because I start talking and somebody talks over me, so I just stop talking and let them do it. So I talk very little on this show. Just kidding. Anyway, moving forward, what's the latest in the news? Anything good?
Well, as I've said, I'm very excited about the Quick Lane Bowl.
Yeah, it's going to be quick. It's going to have a lane,
I think it's going to be great for the Gopher football team. This will be great for recruiting, because they can they can say to these kids they're recruiting, hey, and you might get to spend Christmas in Detroit. But, that's something that Alabama can't offer.
Yeah, but at $2 million, that could almost pay for 1/10 of their tuition. So, hey.
Well, that number is actually inflated, the 2 million, because it's not 2 million just to Minnesota or to the two schools. It's split amongst the entire conference.
Wow.
So really your 2 million, is going to everybody.
So
in
the
Big
winner's
Ten.
going to get like what, 1.8 or like maybe not even?
No, not even, because it's
evenly split?
Yeah, so they give it to the Big
Oh.
Ten, and then the Big Ten distributes that to.
Well, so it's Big Ten, so then each gets $200,000.
Yeah, something like that, because it's however many
Split
teams.
among how many people on
16,
a?
I think are in
16.
There's 18 that are going to be in next year. I don't know. There's like 14, 16, 18.
Well, yeah,
teams.
but the coach, PJ Flack, he says he's very excited about this. What he doesn't tell us is who the hell's going to be the quarterback.
Yeah.
Nobody seems to know who the quarterback's going to be because they fired the quarterback from this year, Kelly Manis. This has never been, there's never been anything said or written about this that I know. But obviously what happened was the coach came up to him and said, we don't want you anymore. We're not going to give you a scholarship. Or if we do, we won't like doing it. You're never going to play again. So we suggest you go somewhere else. So then he has to announce that he's in the transfer portal, which is sort of a joke because he can't, normally people go in the transfer portal. It means they're looking for a better team or a better situation. This guy will go from the U of M to maybe, I don't know, McAllister. I'm not sure. But I don't know where the guy's going because he's terrible. So then the coach went out, the team went out, and they recruited this kid from New Hampshire, who I think will be in his 5th year in college, but he's got a year of eligibility. So the kid they recruited from New Hampshire, he'll be the quarterback next year, but he can't quarterback in the quick lane bowl. And Callie Manis is gone. So it's a mystery. But I will say this in defense of Callie Manis, that he first of all, he was terrible, but he did the best he could. But second, the thing you got to realize is that wherever he goes, it's probably going to be a worse situation for him because at least if you're the quarterback at Minnesota, you're trying to hit a stable, non-moving target. Somewhere else you'd have receivers who are actually moving. So it'd be
Mike,
more.
let me ask you a question, Mike. How much longer are we going to put up with this horrendous program over at the University of Minnesota and the people who are in charge of it? Every team over there sucks.
Pretty much. Although I like the basketball coach. He's from Minnesota. He's recruiting kids from Minnesota. Last night they had what would be considered to be a very small upset over Nebraska, and so I think that I want to give them time because eventually maybe they can recruit the best players from Minnesota. The football team is a joke. The basketball team has been even worse. I mean, they had little Dick Pitino was there for 8 years, right? And they had 1 year where they had a winning team in the conference. And every year, like every other year, Sid Hartman would write, well, he may be leaving us for Alabama. And he meant, of course, the Alabama, unfortunately, basketball team, which people in Alabama don't know they have a basketball team. But he'd come up with these phony stories. And then the people in the athletic department would give this guy, this total loser guy, a more lucrative contract. So people who do that shouldn't be around.
How long's PJ Fleck been around now? 6 years, 7 years? How long has it been?
I believe it's 7 years.
It is 7 years.
That long? Wow.
He's dreadfully bad. I mean, he is yay, rah, rah, showboat, but his teams never win.
No, but he's the first guy out there. If one of his players suffers the most minor injury, he runs out to the field to see if they're all right. He's a fraud.
Yeah, I think he's terrible. And Mark Coyle is a dreadful athletic director. He's terrible.
Decisions,
the best thing going for the Gophers athletics is I think their women's basketball team is actually pretty good this year. They fired Lindsay Whalen, who recruited all these players.
Yeah.
So they just needed some time, and then you gave them some time, but got rid of her, and now they're all dominating.
Yeah, and women's basketball is definitely on the rise. A lot of it's because of Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, who's from Minnesota, playing for UConn. You've got the LSU team down there with Angel Reese and all of their standout players. So yeah, women's college basketball is definitely strong right now.
Caitlin Clark, her problem is this like next year will be her 5th year, and so she can stay at Iowa for another year if she wants to. But the thing with her is it's possible she can make more money playing college basketball than she could in the WNBA.
Oh, 100%.
Well, it's all about endorsements.
Yeah, all the NIL money.
But so you can see, I mean, this could be a very lucrative year for her.
So I have a question for you guys. What are they going to do? And again, don't be going off the deep end, listeners out there. It's none of my business, but I'm just wondering, how is it fair to women to allow women who used to be men to compete against them? They have a completely different muscle structure. How is that fair?
I mean, I don't think that is necessarily fair, but I don't know that there's a clear-cut thing or like solution, because it's not enough transgender athletes where you can go, oh, well, now we've got a transgender version of the NBA or NFL.
Yeah, right.
No, that's not possible.
We're not doing that. And so it's like you got to kind of figure out what's the easiest. And right now, there's just not a ton of transgender athletes that are, there's no Michael Jordan of transgender athletes that's dominating on a major level. So I think until we get to that point, there's not really much that will change.
It's not a huge problem at the moment. But
it could be.
But what teams could do, whether it's high school, college, professional, whatever, they could do a very simple hormonal test.
Mm-hmm.
And there'd be a huge fight, of course, over what the dividing line would be.
Yeah,
but they could do something like that.
Yeah, and I think you'd have to wait until there's somebody that tries to take advantage of the system where you have like what was the movie Joanna Man, where it was the guys that pretended to be women so that they could dominate the WNBA. There'd have to be somebody that tried to say like, hey, I'm transgender, when they're really not, just because they wanted to try and win a championship.
Well, didn't that happen in swimming? Women's swimming already for the Olympics?
It was, Brittany was saying it wasn't the Olympics. It was
the Olympics. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was the Olympics. It was like some smaller, I think it was collegiate trials, but they ended up winning a championship. And there were questions about how far down the transgender path.
Yeah. And that goes back like 50 years or so.
Yeah.
The Russians were always accused of that.
Oh, that's right. You're absolutely right about that.
It wasn't that the players were necessarily transgender, but, it would have been more like they were, getting these huge hits of testosterone. The women were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And basically, from what I understand, it's pretty much swimming and running. What the women don't feel it's fair because they can't possibly compete.
Cycling too.
Cycling too? Okay.
It's becoming a big thing in cycling.
Yeah, I mean, I just look, very clear. I've had him on before, now but Mr. Siegel, who became Ms. Siegel, I've had him on the show many times. He's been my friend for about 45 years. And we talked about that. I am certainly not anti-transgender or anybody. I'm just saying, I'm not talking about sexual orientation here. I'm talking about fairness.
Yeah, but we're not going to let him play in the rotisserie baseball league anymore.
Yeah, you're out of the mix.
No.
You're gone. That's all there is to it. No question about it. Now, what's the young woman's name who appeared in court, as a matter of fact, talking about this? She just did it this week, I think. What is her name? God, I can see her face, but I can't remember her name. I think I can't know if she's a runner or a swimmer. I don't recall, but I just, there's got to be a way to figure this out. I suppose someday there will be enough transgender people that can just have their own division and compete against themselves.
Well, and plus, I think if this becomes a growing problem, they can do a test. And I think nobody wants to be the first ones to do that.
Joe from Louisville says Riley Gaines.
Riley Gaines, that's exactly who it is. It's Riley Gaines. Yeah, she appeared in court saying that she just can't win anymore because she's competing against transgender athletes and she's nowhere near as strong as they are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is her argument, not mine. I just like to see some sort of fairness. That would be good.
Well, the cynical take is that a transgender league wouldn't work because a lot of these people are not transgender. They're simply pretending so that they can take all the glory in women's leagues.
Is that true that they're not even transgender? They're just men who pretend to be transgender?
That's a debate we're not technically allowed to have in many states.
I think we're
Minnesota
getting into
being one of them.
conspiracy theories with that one.
No, I'm just asking a question here. I don't know anything about this.
No,
stuff.
I understand. That's just my suspicion.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any like ring of, like there's no ringers going around where there's, a bunch of people pretending to be women or pretending to be men. Realistically, the only solution would be, okay, well then just get rid of the WNBA and NBA and just make one league where everything is co-ed anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and again, I'm not criticizing anybody here. I'm just wondering how they're going to handle this situation, because there are several people that are quite upset about it. So, because I don't have any opinion. I don't watch the Olympics anymore. I don't watch swimming, and I don't watch running. So I don't have a position. I just know that Riley Gaines did appear on a lot of television shows in the last week or two about this very subject. So it's top of mind,
Yeah. Unfortunately, because in America, we really only care about, baseball, football, basketball, that until when it's, high school swimming, unless you're in that community, nobody unfortunately really is going to pay much attention until it gets to, the Olympic level or a championship level. So it's one of those things where kind of people just don't really pay attention, and we'll sort it out when it's right in our faces and something we do like.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, back in the day when I was, in my teens, was when this whole steroid thing kicked in. I believe I was 18 years old when a guy approached me and said, "Hey, you should do this. You would be an incredible athlete," and blah, blah, blah. They also approached a guy named Jesse Ventura, who was going to Roosevelt High School at the time.
Yep.
Same as I was going to North High School. But steroids changed weightlifting forever.
Oh, yeah. Well, no question about that.
It's like, whoa.
Well, and then leaked into baseball as well, where they have a whole steroid era.
Barry Bonds, who, his neck grew about 3 times its normal size. That's when they start pressing 200 pounds with their neck, then there's something going on there.
Mike, do you know the world record when I started lifting weights? And this is many, many years ago, obviously. I believe the world record for the bench press was right around 450 pounds. You know what it is now, Mike?
I have no idea.
1,200.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my gosh.
He's just a human being?
That's a human being.
There are hydraulic lifts that can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. You should see the muscles on this guy.
Well, that's with that's with a shirt, though. Without the benching gear, the world record is only 780 pounds.
Oh,
an
only 800
amount. Yeah, I mean, but actually, without the bench shirt, it hasn't gone up that much. It's gone up, but in 1982, the record was still 700 pounds. So we've gone up 80 pounds in 40 years, as opposed to with the shirt, it has gone up 700 pounds in 40 years.
But you have to remember,
might have something to do with it, I think.
But I will say this. I was approached in 1969, 1970 about doing steroids. So now that changes everything, because now you're talking about things 12, 14, 16 years later, after people have been doing steroids for all that time,
Yeah.
Interesting. The difference between a 1970 bench press and a 2023 bench press.
Yeah.
I bet you that gap is huge.
Absolutely. And Tom, I'm going to go out on a limb and just assume that you turned down the steroids, correct?
I did not do the steroids. Not, I got this voice from my mother.
How thankful are you looking back that you didn't take steroids? Because now all those people that did, like, their bodies are just destroyed.
Yeah,
they're dying a lot younger because they put so much stress on their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the guys I started lifting weights with back in my late teen years, I think there are 3 of us still alive. The rest of them are all dead.
Jeez.
All of them.
Once your testicles go, you would think that would be a danger zone.
You would think. That'd be a big problem.
So, like, the current world record holder without gear is a guy named Julius Maddox, and he's been the world record holder for a few years now.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at him, his arms barely go past his waist. And that is one of the main things that makes you a good bench press guy.
Really? Yeah.
Is having really short arms,
it's all about leverage.
Exactly. So it's like I almost feel like you should like divide by arm length or something like that in order to get the true number.
Yeah.
Are you bringing this up because of your monkey father?
I have pretty long arms as well, but I mean, I would never. I don't think I could ever bench press 200 pounds if I tried. So I'm not exactly like, oh, this is unfair. I could do this.
Very quickly.
I have the same leg length of guys who are like 5'10", 5'11".
Oh, you got a long legs.
Long legs, and obviously that means very short chest.
Yes, I'm all limb.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put it this way: my pants length is 30 inches. My shirt length is 37 inches. So there's quite a difference between my monkey arms and my monkey legs. That's a big difference, man.
I'm basically 30-30.
You're 30-30?
Yeah, 30 is pretty long for your height. That's,
it is.
That's
Yeah,
long
it would
legs.
be for your height. You're absolutely
Become a
right.
sprinter.
Well, that's as has been suggested, but mostly by people who broke into my house. So I don't know if you can take it seriously. No, it's like, and Max, my middle son, he's basically just mostly legs. And that's one reason why the track coach called me into his office one day as I was going down the hall at the school. And he said, "What's going on with your kid?" I said, what do you mean? He said, I can make him a star. He'd be perfect. 440. He could be the main guy in the 440. I watch him. I see him outside. He runs like a deer. Instead, he's playing tennis. He'll never be any good at tennis.
Was he good at tennis?
He was pretty good. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
good.
he was good at St. Louis Park. He was the captain of the team, the number one guy, but that doesn't mean he was going to beat anybody from Edina or Minnetonka, because he didn't start playing tennis till he was 12. You can't be really great at tennis if you start at 12.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. Mike,
Coach, I just want to add one more thing, and that is that what I said to the coach was, well, have you considered the fact that he likes to play tennis?
Yeah, well, there you go.
The coaches don't look at it that way.
No, they do not. You're absolutely right about that. What did they ever do anything looking back? Because I do remember the accusations of cheating by the Russians for about 3 decades.
Yeah.
Did they ever do anything about it?
I mean, that's the thing. It's like you can say, oh, yeah, we're going to take away your medal. But all that's saying is next year, hide it better.
That's pretty much probably true.
I think that's still true of most sports, to be honest, and especially things like lifting. It's like I don't think any pro athlete is 100% natural.
Well, that's that's the nature of crime itself. Sociopathy. The lessons people learn, whether they're in prison or whether they're living in a huge mansion, is if you did something wrong and you wind up in prison or you wind up losing your money, it's because you didn't hide it well.
Exactly.
Enough.
Well, and it wasn't back then, but in 2019, Tom, the Russian Olympic team, it was banned from competing for anti-doping stuff. So yeah, they are at least trying to crack down a little bit.
So good. Do you think Russia will listen, or will they just try to find a different way to hide it?
No, it's one of those things, especially in sports. Anytime anybody gets caught, they always go, well, everybody does it. And so then next time they'll just hide it better.
This is what happens with competition. I mean, the Little League had so many scandals for so many years, like the Taiwan team, which was winning the Little League World Series every year. They had guys on the team who were shaving 3 times.
I know. You see that all the time too.
Yeah. And it just became a farce, who are these kids? And now you got a kid who's 6'2", and he's just turned 12, and he's throwing an 85-mile-an-hour fastball to go, of course, with his curveball and his splitter.
Yep.
Isn't that amazing how that has changed so much? I mean, honestly, God, basically, when I was a little kid playing, and I only played for 1 year and I sucked at it. I played second base, but I do remember the jump from playing baseball when I was in, 7th or 8th grade, whatever it was, to now. Those kids, there's no way we could compete against those kids now. They've gotten that much bigger, smarter, stronger, faster.
Well, it's because there's so much money in it now.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's say you're the best Little League player in the world in 1960. What's that going to get you? Like maybe an average salary at some point. Whereas now, $20-30 million a year.
Well, a good baseball team now, if you're pitching for a really good baseball team, you should be able to hit 95.
$95 million?
No,
Well,
95 miles an hour.
I was going to say, Jesus, I didn't know it was that bad.
No,
Although,
these high school kids are throwing 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Mike, how? How?
Well, one thing is that they don't play any other sports anymore.
no, they don't do anything but play baseball.
true.
And specifically, they
True.
specialize. I'm the pitcher. I'm just going to pitch all
Right.
day, every day, because here's the top highest salaries in the MLB, 30 million, 58 million. This is per year, by the way.
Yeah.
43 million, 40 million. So, I mean, if you make it, then you have made it to like the upper echelon of all of human history.
Well, yeah.
So it makes sense to put that much effort into it. And even if you're not in the best, like what's the lowest MLB salary? It's got to be
About $750, I think.
Is it
$7.50 an hour?
Yeah, $750,000 a year, I think, is the starting salary.
Yeah, $720,000, and that's a lot of money, and that's the lowest if you make it into the MLB.
And these kids, by the way, they've got world-class coaches.
And they've got world-class supplements, exercise
Sure.
routines. You know, we got everything down to a science where it's like we know exactly how many of this exercise you need to do, how much protein you need, how much creatine you need.
And
that
they're
kind
also,
of thing didn't exist 70 years
They're
ago.
also going to have surgery when they're 19, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They'll have the
It's-
Tommy John surgery.
Yep.
And some of these kids now, they get preventive Tommy John surgery. Like they don't even wait for the muscle to tear.
Yep.
They get the surgery before.
Yeah, and they,
Oh, yeah.
that's and like no matter how good of an athlete you are, doing that is very bad for your body because like ligaments and tendons, they don't really get that much stronger. That's
Yeah.
why it's always like, you know, the Achilles or whatever.
ACLs.
ACL is a big one. Yeah, that's what fails is because you can't really train that.
No, and these kids, it's not just the bodies that suffer too. I mean, the mind does take a hit.
Sure.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You know what's amazing about what you just read there, Andy? I was looking back, and it's less than 100 years ago. You just talked about a guy making $58 million a year playing Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
When I guess it was announced, I believe around 1928, 29, 30, that Babe Ruth was making $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
People had a fit that he was making that much money.
You know the famous exchange that supposedly took place over his salary, right?
Oh, what's that?
Well, someone said to him, said, "Well, you're making $100,000 a year. That's more than the president makes." And Babe Ruth supposedly said, "Yeah, but I had a better year."
That's right. He said, I had a better year.
Fair
What
point.
year was that, Mike? Was it about 1930?
Well, it would have been around there because the 1927 Yankees were, that's the most famous baseball team, along with the 54 Dodgers.
Yeah.
Those are the two most famous teams of all time in baseball.
So Babe Ruth's career earnings, inflation adjusted, 18.7 million.
That's all?
That's like 1/3 of the top MLB salaries in a year these days.
Well, you can buy a lot of hot dogs with that.
Yeah. Well,
It's like, I'm not going to say $18 million is a small amount of money. You know, you're set for life multiple times over, but it still is. It's like, how are these players worth $50 million per year?
Well, just because the TV money that they come in when you have, ESPN's like, hey, we're going to pay you, $200 million to air these games or however much you're going to pay, and the money's got to go somewhere.
And the franchises are worth maybe $4 billion, maybe more.
Oh, yeah.
Depends. I mean, how many billion would it take to buy the Yankees?
Probably like $5 billion.
I wonder, actually.
I bet it'd be more.
More?
I would think so. Yeah. Or the Dodgers. Those two would be.
Yankees are currently worth $7.1 billion.
There you go.
It's crazy because you'll hear even bad franchises. They'll be like, "Oh, the owner bought them for $700 million 5 years ago, and now it's worth $1.2 billion."
Like, what's
just because of the natural inflation of sports?
What's the worst NFL franchise right now?
I mean, the Washington Redskins were a complete, football team. Sorry, were a complete dumpster fire.
And Jacksonville is.
Are they the Commanders?
Yeah, they're the Commanders now.
Let's see, the Commanders team, $6 billion.
Yeah.
For the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, and now
Exactly.
you have teams like Arizona because they're just what they'll do is they'll buy the team, you build a new stadium, and now your franchise is worth an extra.
And Major League Baseball is doing fine because they're football really even more so because they're going to expand in the next few years.
Well, they're talking about putting 4 teams potentially overseas.
Yeah,
in
London,
Germany,
right?
Well,
in Germany was that's
well,
right there.
Mexico City has been mentioned a lot, but the two cities that will definitely get franchises in the NFL. One will be Las Vegas for sure.
You know
Well,
what
they
I
already
always
have one.
They have one.
Oh,
Yeah, they got
I'm
the
sorry.
the
Not
Raiders
Las-
moved it.
That I'm sorry. I'm thinking about the wrong sport there.
Because and I think the MLB is now moving the
Yes.
Oakland A's over to Las
Yep.
Vegas, right?
Yeah.
The NBA is the next one that for sure I think will.
They'll go back to Seattle, and they will go to Las Vegas. Yeah,
Yeah, they should go back to Seattle. That's weird that the Seahawks ever move. I mean, not the Seahawks, the
Supersonics?
Seattle Supersonics. Yeah, that they moved. That shocked me.
Seattle is a great market too. I mean, that's a no brainer.
No, Tevin's been challenged.
Uh-oh.
Trevor and the other Andy say it's the Carolina Panthers that are the worst.
Oh yeah, today they're definitely the worst team. But the last couple years, as far as teams that
averaged
lost
out.
that lost value because they had their owner was taking hidden pictures of cheerleaders and making his own personal
Oh,
calendar
that's
as
not
they're
good.
changing, and they had all these scandals that you would think would bring down the value of the franchise, and they still he still made money.
Those things are cyclical. I mean, look at the New England Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've scored something like 13 points in their total of 13 in their last 3 games.
Yeah,
and this is the team that is the greatest coach in the history of football.
Isn't that amazing?
You know what I always found strange was how little crossover there is between the MLB and the Japanese baseball league. Because we're willing to go over to Germany and England where football basically doesn't exist and try to make it a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in Japan, baseball is huge and has been for decades.
Well, I think it's because baseball's so huge that they wouldn't necessarily be interested in.
Well, but I don't mean putting MLB franchises in Japan. I mean, franchise versus franchise kind of thing.
Oh,
wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, they have I forget what the term. It's like the World Baseball Classic or something that, where it's the Japan versus U.S. versus the Dominican Republic and everybody. It's like the Olympics type of thing.
Yeah.
So they do have things like that.
When I was a kid, I still remember listening to the game on the radio. The Minneapolis Millers, which were a AAA team, played Cuba. When Castro, I think I can't remember if he managed the Cuban team. He might have made an appearance as a player, but that was, to me at least, that was like the biggest sporting event I'd ever heard of.
Yeah, could you imagine being a player on that team and you're like, Castro owns the team. If I get fired, I don't know if I'm going to get murdered, dragged through the street.
Yeah, there's an incentive not to win if you're the Millards. Yeah.
I can see that to be true. Andy, I just got a message from a listener who wants to know there was recently, he believes it was a pitcher that was signed to almost $250 million contract.
Yeah.
Played like 5 games and can never play again.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
There's been a couple. I think was Steven Strasburg was one that signed this huge deal, if I remember correctly, and got hurt and really couldn't play. Right now, it's there's a guy from Japan. Why can't I think of his name? Gelfand. Who's the pitcher /hitter for the A's?
Oh,
this makes me.
Are you talking about Yoshinobu Yamamoto?
No.
Because he had a contract, apparently $300 million.
Yeah. Well, some of the Japanese players did pretty well here.
Yeah.
Like Ichiro.
Ichiro did, yeah.
And some of them not quite so much. I always loved listening to Dan Gladden do baseball games because he played in Japan.
Shohei Ohtani. Sorry.
Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, there you go.
He's a free agent.
Yep.
So he'll probably get the biggest salary in the history of baseball.
Oh, for sure.
Well, he has to, because right now he's by far the most valuable player of any team. He's incredible. There hasn't been anyone like him before. You have to go back to Babe Ruth for a guy who could hit home runs prolifically and pitch as well as or better than anyone else.
That is amazing that he does pitch. That because Babe Ruth did too, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like a modern day Babe Ruth.
He absolutely is.
Is it more impressive to do it today in like kind of the steroidish era, or back when Babe Ruth did it when he's drinking beers between innings and hungover smoking cigarettes, working a day job?
He like had a year where he could barely walk. Mostly it was because of all the hot dogs and beer he was consuming. Probably there was a little syphilis thrown in there too.
What? Never.
I'm speculating,
You know what's so funny about that is when I moved to New York in I guess it must have been about 79, somewhere in there. And I was invited. I used to go to the it's the old stadium, the old Yankee Stadium, which was beautiful, by the way, magnificent.
Fantastic.
Well, yeah, the KQ listeners, we took them there. I think it was 1988. I think when we went there, can't remember, but it was right after. Yeah, so it had to be 88 because after the World Series. But I was invited to go into the clubhouse of the New York Yankees, and I'm walking around and I'm just kind of standing there in front of one of the lockers and all the rest of it. And I looked down, and there were foot markers, painted footprints, and I was apparently standing at Babe Ruth's locker. And it, honest to God, it made my heart skip a beat. It was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was overwhelming. It was Jesus.
I remember the first time when I was covering baseball, that I went into Yankee Stadium and I just looked around and kind of got the chills. But what I remember most, first year covering baseball, is it was Carl Yastrzemski's last year. He played his whole career with the Boston Red Sox. He had played for the Minneapolis Millers before that.
Loved him.
And so I thought, I after the game, I went into the locker room, and I expected to see him, sitting on like a throne or something, right? he was sitting at a converted like eighth grader's desk, right? And he's at this little desk, and he put his cigarettes into the ink holder.
Oh, sure.
And he still had the black marker under his eyes, because that all players did that in those days, supposedly to reduce the glare. And I mean, if I'd walked in and seen this guy and you had said, oh, there's Jim, he's our accountant, I would have said, oh yeah, that's fine. I mean, today guys don't look like that so much.
No, not at all. Could they even compete anymore, Mike?
It'd be tough. It'd be very tough.
It would be almost impossible because
the only really horribly arrogant baseball player I ever really ran into was probably Reggie Jackson.
Oh God, yes.
I mean, it was just sort of disgusting. I mean, he was so arrogant, and he really thought he thought that he was not only the greatest player ever, but I think he believed he was the greatest intellectual who ever played baseball.
That's true.
And that's where you kind of draw the line with most baseball players.
Were you with me the day that I was teasing him? He was with the A's, I believe, at the time. I was out at the old Met, and I was kind of razzing him a little bit, and he was doing some, stretches and all the rest of it. And he bent over to do his back stretch and gave me the finger between his legs.
Well, that says something, because he wouldn't respond to most people.
No, he gave me the finger. There's no question.
But you did it well. I've never seen anyone rattle baseball players the way you did.
Oh God, Ron Jackson.
Part of it was, of course, your voice.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they were going to pick that up no matter where they were in the stadium.
God, I remember the first time I referred to Papa Jack, Ron Jackson, as Papa Up. Oh my God, did he get pissed at me?
But from what I saw, from what I personally witnessed, nobody hated you more than Joe Rudy.
Oh, Joe Rudy really hated me. There's no doubt about that.
And of course, you're sitting kind of down close to third base, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Rudy was playing left field.
Yep.
So you were able to connect with him pretty easily.
And then a guy at one of the games, because remember they used to have the fence, the chain link fence, like the old ones out at the old Met. They wouldn't have that now because it looked too cheap, but they had it out there, and a kid was drinking beer and he kept sticking the cups in the little, little diamond shaped things. And by the time we got to about the fifth inning, it spelled out Rudy sucks.
Well, didn't Gene Walk give you the finger too?
Oh, yes, he did too. He did it like this, though. He's coming back in the dugout and he didn't look at me. He just went, I had to stretch my forehead. Oh, that was so much fun razzing those guys.
He really, I mean, he was a guy who took things very personally. He was a great manager. Yeah. A great manager who never won, and I think it's amazing to me that year after year, he would because he would accept jobs with teams like the Twins. He's working for Griffith. He's never going to win a pennant there, but he sure did try hard. And the sadness I saw on his face the I guess I could also say the shattered bourbon bottle on the wall will always stick with me after the deadly series in Boston. It was, I'm sure you remember this, Tom. It was late in the season. Was it 78 maybe? And the Twins had they'd been contending right up until like the final 2 weeks or so, and then they got blown out in Boston.
I remember.
And that was it. And so we were moving on from Boston to, I can't remember where we're probably going to New York or someplace after that. But it was over. It was over. They'd lost any chance to win the pennant. And I walked into the locker room. First of all, they wouldn't let us in the locker room for like 10 minutes, which was unusual. Normally you just came in there. And the first thing I saw was that the little deli table that was kind of near the front of the locker room had been overturned, and there was a clump of tuna fish weeping mayonnaise on the ceiling. And then I walked into Mock's, the visitor managing's office, and I never said anything to Mock when I walked into his office, because he would say what he wanted to say. So I just walked in there, and there was total silence. I just stayed there. I captured the scene. And then Keel, was he the third base coach?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Keel came in. Keel sort of acted as Mock's footman, and he said, are you taking the team bus to the airport? And Mock paused, thought about it, and he said, no. He said, I can't do it. I can't hear the sounds of joy tonight.
Oh, I like it.
That was the most poetic thing any manager ever said to me.
Yes, that's a good one.
He wasn't saying it to me, but it was the most poetic thing I'd ever heard a manager say. He was a great man.
He was a hell of a manager. There's no question about it. And missed it by, when did he leave the team? Was that like 84, maybe something like that?
Sounds about right.
I'm not sure about that, but it sounds about right. And then he leaves, and 3 years later, the Twins win the World Series because they have a new owner.
Yep.
Did they win that in like the third season, I believe? Did Carl Pohlad buy the team in 85, 86, something like that? Does that make sense? I can't remember. That was 40 years ago, man. That was a long time ago.
That sounds about right. Griffith owned the team when I was covering it in the mid to late 70s.
84.
Yep.
It was 84.
84,
okay.
yeah. Yeah,
so
things
3
changed.
years later.
You would never have thought, if someone had said, the Pohlads family is taking over, and they'll be so generous. Carl Pohlad was never known for his generosity.
Well, they still aren't, because they're having a bitch of a time getting players right now. They've lost some really good players, and they haven't replaced them yet. I don't know what's going to happen. That team's not going to be anywhere near as good next year.
Well, and you've got pretty good pitchers, who are leaving for $30 million a year salaries.
Sonny Gray, he's already left the team, right?
Yes, didn't he get a $30 million contract?
I believe so, yeah.
And for the Twins, of course, they pissed away all that money, unfortunately, on Buxton.
But what do you think? Okay, we only got 1 minute left. So what do you think about the Buxton situation? I have to say I admire Brian Buxton because he plays so hard.
Oh, yeah.
He very hard. He goes at it 100%, and that's one of the reasons he gets hurt all the time.
Right.
What do you think about him coming back?
What I think is that he clearly has an arthritic problem, which will always haunt him. Yeah. So, he had surgery. The surgery was a success, but his body just breaks down. So, I just don't see it happening. I don't see him being a key part of the team.
Yeah, it's too bad, because I really didn't. I love, man. He used to run full head of steam into the wall to try to catch a baseball,
and it was generally accepted by the baseball people, certainly the general managers, and obviously by the journalists who don't really count for anything. But still, it was generally accepted that he probably was going to be the greatest player in baseball.
Yeah, it was. I thought so.
Yeah.
And he probably would have been had he not been getting hurt. But he played hard and he got hurt because of it.
5 tools.
There you go. All right. Well, as the umpire would say, you're out. Huh? What do you think of that for the end of the show?
Baseball reference.
Baseball reference, man. All right. We will talk to you tomorrow.